of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
We recognize different ages for different purposes. We recognize 18 for the draft. We recognize 16 for driving in some states. We recognize 21 for drinking. So we recognize different ages for different purposes. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Could I have a second to engage that?
Certainly. I'll yield to the gentleman from Kentucky.
Would the chairman join me in co-sponsoring a bill to raise the draft age to 21?
No.
But the chairman feels that their brains aren't fully formed at 18, 19, and 20.
The research does indicate that in certain respects, but the Selective Service needs, I mean, if the country needs people, it needs people.
It needs people whose brains aren't fully formed?
In certain respects, yes.
I yield back.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. What do we do now?
Back to them, or do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
Fuck Joe Biden.
Refuse to go along with this, and I'm seeing through all of your lies, Barack Obama, you wicked, wicked devil!
Welcome back to another night of Stick with Koolfrogg. I don't know what the heck is going on with AmericaShirts. Come on, AmericaShirts. What are you doing? You're delaying me. I don't like it when you delay me just because you want to. Just because you have no clue what we're doing. There's no grounds for you to delay me like that. Just kidding. I dropped all those links. I don't know if you're not seeing them or what's going on, but you don't need to read them before we go live. Let's go, man. AmericaShirts. AmericaShirts. If we summon them, will he come? AmericaShirts. I guess we'll just have to start with it. Thanks, Div Inity. That's awesome. She's gonna single-handedly get me over 1,000 chats today by putting in single words the whole time. Hello, Dragon Man. Hello, Susie. Is there somebody else that was in here? I thought there was somebody else in here. Just read the news without him. You don't need him. I wish that was true, but you know, I don't really need him. I can read the news and I can leave an opinion. That's not a big deal. It's those awesome little rants that come out of that little man that make me want him to be here. And if you see, you look at if you actually looked, I put his name in the thumbnail. This is featuring AmericaShirts. How can it feature AmericaShirts if he's not here? It just doesn't make sense. You know, going over certain things. If I go too far, I go too many articles, and he's like, well, "What did you talk about already?" And I got to go back and I got to kind of fill him in. I don't want to fill him in. I don't want to do that. I want him just to be here, and we can just go from that. AmericaShirts. I mean, we can dox him. We can tell everybody who he is on Discord. That's about all we can do, because that man does not give out any information whatsoever. Love the rants. Rants are always relaxing, as everyone else gets their blood pressure up. I can sit back and laugh. Yeah, absolutely. Now that's going to upset me if that's going to be the case again tonight. Why isn't my chat updating? If I dox him, I'll be banned on YouTube. I ain't doxing him. If I dox anybody, I'll dox myself. Oh, come on, AmericaShirts. He's like, "Oh, I gotta cook food right now." Okay, I guess we'll try moving on without him. So it says breaking news: Ukrainian cargo plane with tons of weapons crashed in a fireball explosion. Oh yeah. Exactly, Divinity. I got you. So it says one Ukrainian cargo plane with 11 tons of weapons crashed into a fireball explosion in northern Greece. Among the weapon, there was mortar shells and landmines. I couldn't imagine that explosion. That had to have been so loud. That would have been great. We're just two lost souls living in a fishbowl year after year. Ah, all right. The plane was called Antonov AN-12 light aircraft and transported weapons from Serbia to Bangladesh. On the plane were 8 Ukrainian crew members who were now all dead. A video shows the plane falling from the sky and the weapons exploding for more than 2 hours.
This is the moment a cargo plane crashed in northern Greece, killing all 8 people on board. The aircraft had taken off from Serbia and was heading to Bangladesh.
You can see the explosion patterns of, how much. That's just crazy.
Before crashing near the Kavala International Airport just before midnight. A plume of white smoke could still be seen rising on Sunday morning. Serbian's defense minister says the plane was an Antonov 12. Its owner was from Ukraine with the call sign MEM 3032. Unfortunately, according to the information available, all of the crew members lost their lives during this plane crash. The minister says it was carrying 11.5 tons of Serbian-made mortar ammunition for the Bangladeshi army. Nearby residents have been told to keep their windows shut and to wear masks. We saw something bright coming down from the castle, but we thought it was a lantern, this woman says. Afterwards we said, "Fire, fire, what is it? Is it a plane?" Before we could work it out, it had fallen on the ground. We were terrified. We also had children. We were all screaming. Emergency services have cordoned off the area. A special army unit that looks for nuclear, biological and chemical substances will comb the site. The mayor of the municipality has also banned cars on nearby roads.
Yeah, Tracker Man, it looks like it happened over the top of a field. So this is 8 crew members killed in Ukraine cargo plane. What is it? Yeah, it was a cargo plane. This Antonov AN-12 light aircraft. I'm going to Google it real quick so we can see what this aircraft looks like, how big it actually is. What? Of course, go click on the wrong screen. So you can see how large the aircraft really is. You can see how small these people are standing here. There's 3 people standing on front of it. It's just a massive aircraft that's holding so much stuff. Let's see. Let's drop that. See, and that's why I like AmericaShirts, because those spots where I stop talking, where I go in from screen to screen, he has something to say, always has something good to add, and usually has a good point. Ukrainian cargo plane crashes near Kavala in northeast Greece. Check that. They're like, oh.
Ох, παιδιά. Ох, Παναγία μου.
Awesome fireworks show. Holy crap. I couldn't imagine being around there and actually seeing this fireball cruising through the air, slowly descending and boom, hitting the ground and then turning into this big, huge, massive explosion. So there's going to be another video. You can see how long this path was of debris that it had left. That's crazy. The way it just lit up the dark sky. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how this is a Ukrainian AN-12 that was sitting there transporting the stuff from which means most likely it was U.S. stuff that was given to them to go and use that just went up in smoke. That's my thought on it anyway. So profoundly saddened by the news of the cargo plane crash in northern Greece. We express sincere condolences to the families of the 8 Ukrainian crew members who tragically lost their lives in the plane crash. It doesn't look like they actually said if it was a mechanical issue or if it was crew issue or what it was. This witness had said the aircraft had come down in a ball of flames near the city of Kavala before exploding and impacting the cornfields around midnight local time. Earlier, the pilot had reported engine trouble and had requested an emergency landing. So apparently they were having technical difficulties if they actually requested the emergency landing. They had to have known something wasn't right and something was going to fail. I mean, it could be that they put too much in their jug, man. It could totally be such a deal where they're overweight or something else that just wasn't working. I have no clue if there's Taco Bell in Canada. That'd be disgusting. Don't eat at Taco Bell. Greek State TV ERT said that the aircraft signal was lost soon after the pilot requested an emergency landing. Amateur video footage uploaded on ERT.gr showed that the aircraft in flames descending fast before hitting the ground in what appeared to be an explosion. I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually copy that and pull that up. I wonder how it didn't fall on our houses. It was full of smoke. It had a noise I can't describe and went over the mountain. It passed the mountain and turned and crashed into the fields. So, I mean, if they knew what was going on and they knew how that was, how it was descending and what they could do, and if they turned it just right to actually go and hit the field instead of hitting and just going straight down, it kind of interesting to see. I'm looking up to see if I can actually get their other footage to come up here. And of course it's going to be in Russian, Ukrainian verbiage on here. It's not going to actually be in English. because that's the way it works. And no, I'm not going to be able to read it. What's up, Toy Box Brain? So you can see there's a couple pictures, a couple stills that they took. Just gone, disintegrated most of it. So they did say that they were going to actually go through and they were going to see if they could, scan the area for any biological weapon or any other types of weapons that could actually cause more harm to the area. Because I mean, if it had bio capabilities or nuclear capabilities, that wouldn't be good if some random person, the farmer that's farming these fields, decided to go through there or whatever and hit something that hadn't already exploded, that has tendency or still have the tendency to explode. That could cause some other dangers to those people that are actually doing whatever they're doing, whether they're just walking or if it's the actual farmer. You can see there's plenty of different shrapnel that had been laying around. Mines, explosives, radiation detectors, metal detectors. Doesn't look like there's much left of it at all. Again, AmericaShirts, where are you? I'm going to send him a DM in Discord, see if I can't summon him. Hello, Crystal. How's it going? So then, from one Ukraine subject to the next, before we move into some local government. When I was in the Army, 248 guys were killed in the plane crash. Took a few months to ID what was left of them. I couldn't imagine. That's disturbing. Killshot Shirt's getting that special shower. Maybe. Who knows what he's doing? Yeah, I'd be sick of after eating Taco Bell as well. Divinity. I don't know what you're talking about, Killshot. 150 pounds. That could be interesting, whatever it is that you're actually talking about. So here it says leaked audio. Biden threatened ex-Ukraine Poroshenko with assassination. Really? This guy, I really don't see him lasting too much longer. There's a couple of other articles that I have about him, and it's really kind of disturbing on what people actually think of him, even his own cabinet members, to other members of Congress and how they feel about him, how everybody feels about him, and his numbers are just dwindling. So it says Joe Biden has a tempter. He's famous for, I think that's supposed to be temper. He's famous for yelling at his handlers, demeaning them, and he's been accused of creating a low morale environment in the West Wing. So it isn't a surprise if you hear that he threatened someone. Biden is the person who said that he'd like to beat up Trump outside a high school gymnasium. He did. And that's the disturbing is you're just going to go around threatening people because you think you're better than everybody else. The president of the U.S. is the person who is threatening Supreme Court justices, but this time Joe Biden threatened a person with assassination. Listen.
Overdrive to clean up loose ends. November 16, 2016, 2 weeks after Donald Trump's victory, Joe Biden is on the phone with Poroshenko. His voice tenser now than before.
This is getting very, very close. What I don't want to have happen, I don't want Trump to get in the position where he thinks he's about to buy onto a policy where the financial system is going to collapse and he's going to be looked to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it before he gets sophisticated enough to know the detail.
In other words, Biden does not.
And look at that. AmericaShirts, welcome.
Who?
AmericaShirts. How's it going, my man?
Yo. It's going okay.
Oh, Killshot, I kind of remember some of it. There's a lot of stuff that had gone on yesterday. I did 2 different streams, one for 5-6 hours, another one for 4.5. Just the whole day just kind of melted into one and turned into today. And it was, yeah, see, we all missed you. What's going on, my man? Even I don't know. My chat's not updating here in studio. I don't know if I have to reset it, do something else. I don't know. Divinity says she didn't miss you. Just everybody else did. Are you with me? Hi, Jules. What's up, buddy? Hello. So he's here. Or maybe he's not. Have you heard this? Did you hear this Biden bribe tape? Turn on your microphone. Hello, AmericaShirts. Jules. Even Jules is hollering at you. Hello. Toy box. We put shirts on tumble dry. Oh no, don't do that. Don't do it. Divinity said you did. It won't turn out good. Well, I guess we'll see if I want to know if you're actually here because I want to restart this to see if I can't get chat to come back. I just don't want it to be just dead air while I'm doing it. All right. Oh, let's listen to this again real quick.
2 weeks after Donald Trump's victory, Joe Biden is on the phone with Poroshenko. His voice tenser now than before.
This is getting very, very close. What I don't want to have happen, I don't want Trump to get in the position where he thinks he's about to buy onto a policy where the financial system is going to collapse and he's going to be looked to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it before he gets sophisticated enough to know the detail.
In other words, Biden does not want Ukraine asking for more money from Trump. Doing so would cause Trump to look into the details.
So anything you can do to push the Privat Bank to closure so that the IMF loan comes forward, I would respectfully suggest is critically important to your economic as well as physical security.
critically important overdrive to clean up loose.
So, before we go too far, just set it all disclaimer that this was from actually 2016. We're not contesting the 2020 election. We know that Joe Biden is the most legitimate president with the most votes ever. This is before Trump took over in 2016, and you can hear how concerned he is about Trump actually winning an election and actually looking into things a little deeper and calling for an assassination of Poroshenko. And you can see this was leaked. This was leaked a couple days ago. Everybody in chat's trying to wake you up. What's going on, my man? So, and again, so it repeats itself. It says Biden threatened ex-Ukrainian President Poroshenko with assassination if he cooperated with Trump. Now we know why they went after Trump so hard on this giant deflection. It also makes sense that the billions Biden is sending to Ukraine, right? It kind of seriously does. He keeps on sending out more and more money, billion after billion, and he didn't want this to happen. And you can see what he didn't want to happen. But now all of a sudden we're sitting there dealing with this guy being our president and actually doing what he wants and just sending billions and billions of dollars to the Ukraine to try helping them in their war against Russia. And it's very disturbing that this even has come up and was actually leaked. You can see this is the True Defender. You can actually go check out the website. I'll actually have this link down below so you can actually look into it deeper if you would like. Let's do this for a second. And AmericaShirts, if you come back, start talking to everybody so that way I'll be back in 2 seconds. I got to restart this. See if that actually worked. See if that actually updates my chat for me. Exactly, Jules. He's so compromised, it's ridiculous. And he's just going to continue to do things that he shouldn't be doing. If Shirts comes back as a tube top, I'm out. AmericaShirts. Everybody should check out AmericaShirts.com, the most base shirts on the planet. Use promo code Koolfrogg and get 15% off anything in the store. Most likely the website is still down. Make sure you bookmark that for later on. America Bralettes. Oh, that's a thought. Holy man, that'd be such an interesting idea. Go create women's bras and put fun little frogs everywhere, whatever. Across the back, it says "Stick with Koolfrogg." That way, when some guy gets back there and wants to remove the bra, he actually sees that and he's like, "I gotta go watch YouTube right now. I'll be back." Kill shot, a thought or a thought. Yeah, one of those. AmericaShirts are first.com. I don't know if he's having issues, having technical difficulties, if he needs to actually leave, come back. If there's home issues that are going on, so he just decided to mute himself until things clear up. I have no clue. He could have at least said something. Shirts is drunk? I don't think he drinks. I don't think that would be a good idea for that young man to do that. The strangest he got away with being friendly to women and little girls. I mean, I don't know if he actually got away with it or if it's something else. So here was ex-White House physician. Biden won't finish his term. Former White House physician Ronnie Jackson stated to the Americans question Biden's cognitive abilities. Biden won't finish his term. Everyone knows he's unfit for the job. His mind is too far gone. This can't go on any longer. He needs to resign, tweeted Jackson. I'm not contesting it. I'm just reading the article. I know that Joe Biden is the most legitimate president ever with the most votes. There's nothing you can do to change my mind on that. Jackson served as the White House medical team in the middle 2000s as a personal physician to Barack Obama and Donald Trump. And again, he repeats it. I don't know why they put that many tweets in there or whatever to actually keep on repeating that. The physician is now a Texas congressman, and he's commented after he had shared that Barack Obama sent him an email scolding him for questioning Biden's cognitive abilities. Of course he does, because the second that you take somebody like that out of that position, somebody else loses their position, and they no longer are the ones that get to actually, quote unquote, pull the strings. Hello, Squad Bob. I have to express my disappointment at the cheap shot you took at Joe Biden via Twitter, Obama wrote, adding, it was unprofessional and beneath the office you once held. It was also disrespectful to me and many friends you had in our administration. Well, see, the thing is he actually was, also the physician for Donald Trump. So if that's the case, where does Barack Obama get off being able to tell anybody how they should feel? So then you're a personal physician to the President of the United States, as well as an admiral in the U.S. Navy. Yeah, probably one of the best admirals that there ever had been, I'd bet. Obama noted, asserting, I expect better. I hope upon reflection that you will expect more of yourself in the future. Jackson addressed the email in an appearance on Hannity's Fox News show.
All right, Texas Congressman and former White House physician Ronnie Jackson revealed in his upcoming book, Hold the Line, that Barack Obama sent him a pretty scathing email concerning Ronnie Jackson's tweet during the 2020 campaign, highlighting Joe Biden's cognitive decline and suggesting that he take a mental fitness test, the same one that Donald Trump took. Obama quickly responded via email, telling the congressman he needed to express his disappointment and that the tweet was, quote, unprofessional and beneath the office that he once held. Just to refresh your memory, here are some of the great cognitive moments that Congressman Jackson was talking about. Take a look.
If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words. We choose truth over facts. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Maine, New Hampshire, America have gone on the mend. They're not on the mend any longer. They're on the move. Please sit down. I'm Jill's husband. And Naomi Biden's grandfather. Senator Duckworth introduced her to 11-year-old, is it Vivian? Vivian, I'm sorry, Vivian. A woman who just died, the Secretary of State, used to have an expression. She said, "We are the essential nation." The First Lady's husband contracting COVID, but look at this room and what you see. Pardon? That's right. She's fine. It's me. That's not together.
Congressman and Dr.
Even
Jackson
he
joins us with
himself
reaction.
knows.
Congressman, you took care of how many presidents?
Three, Sean.
Three. Okay. George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And there was a push to have Donald Trump take this cognitive test, and you were very clear in telling him whatever the results are, and it's not a particularly easy test, they will be released to the public. You told him that.
Absolutely, Sean. There was a complete outrage. Everyone was up in arms. All these elites from academic medicine and the press, they were relentless in their insistence that we had the president cognitively assessed, which we did. And as you know, he passed with flying colors. And this is kind of where this all originated. I saw that tweet one day when I was driving to a campaign event that Ronna McDaniel had put out with some of these gaffes. The one in particular, I think, was where he thought he was running for the Senate and he couldn't remember which state he was in. I don't remember. And, she tweeted out a video of it. And I was a little frustrated with the double standard. And I just replied to the tweet. I just retweeted it and I said, wow, does anybody remember the cognitive test that I gave at real Donald Trump? The one that he aced. Looks like somebody else needs a test. Scary. That was it. That was a pretty benign tweet overall. That's all I said. Within 20 minutes, ding, I got a scathing email from President Obama just ripping me apart, telling me, that it was beneath me and the office that I'd served as a physician to the president and as a Navy admiral, and he was disappointed in me, and he considered me a friend, and it was a betrayal of him and all the people I'd worked with at the White House and so on and so forth. And I was a little bit it kind of had a weird effect on me, to be honest with you. And I kind of wanted to pick the phone up and call him right away, but I was late for a campaign event, so I went in and did the event first. I was going to call him when I went back out. But when I went out, I started thinking about it, and I picked the phone up and I called somebody that I knew would understand the weird situation that I was in and maybe some of the weird feelings I was having about getting that, kind of a combination between a little pissed off, but also having my feelings hurt a little bit by that email. So I picked the phone up and I called Dan Bongino, because Dan and I worked together. Dan was in the Secret Service when I was at the White House. He knew exactly what I'd be going through. I called Dan, and Dan just kind of cleared it up for me. Dan said, Ronnie, you don't owe this guy a damn thing. He said, did he ever pick the phone up a single time when you were being butchered as President Trump's nominee for the VA secretary? Did he do one thing to defend you? He could have picked the phone up, made a phone call to John Tester or anybody else, and he could have stopped it with one phone call. He knew it was all garbage. He didn't do anything to help you. You don't owe this guy a damn thing. And then I just sit there for a minute. I thought, you know what? He's absolutely right. I don't owe this guy a damn thing. And
let me ask you this. What about writing him back now and saying, in retrospect, I put this in my new book, the letter that you sent me, in retrospect, with all of the multitude of gaffes that Biden has and all the cognitive struggles that everybody else in the world sees, say, do you still stand by your previous letter to me, or do you want to give me the apology that you owe me? I would write that letter back to Obama.
Well, I could. I'm guessing I'm not going to get a response on that. I think I burned that bridge. But, I wrote this book, Sean, out of frustration. The book's Holding the Line. You can go out and get it right now. It's got a lot of great stories in it like this about my relationships with all three of the presidents and some of the interactions with them. But I wrote this one out of frustration. I was just disgusted. The same reason I'm sitting before you as a member of Congress now, because I'm really frustrated with what's happening in this country.
All right,
and the way
have a
that
lot of time.
Yeah.
Do you see Joe Biden cognitively declining even further? Because I do.
Every day, Sean, every day. You mentioned that his physician said he's worried about his hand washing. He needs to be worried about a lot more than his hand washing. He needs a serious cognitive assessment. And if he's not willing to do it, I will administer the test to him. I will do it. And if you want to go to testbiden.com, I will register you as asking for that as well. But definitely, this man is getting worse, and he's an embarrassment. You can see what's going on overseas right now. He's not inspiring confidence.
You check out testbiden.com and actually sign yourself up to be one of the people that actually thinks that he actually deserves to do the cognitive test. I agree with Div Inity. I think they need to actually pull the 25th on him and actually just be like, no, you're done. You're finished. No longer. at the same time, the scary one is who gets to take over after that K.
Well, that's why you don't do the 25th, because the 25th is done by the cabinet. You do impeachment through the House,
Welcome
and then
back.
the Senate through the legislature. Hello, hello.
Everybody's like spamming the chat. They're like, "What happened?" Oh, Divinity said you must have taken a Tide Pod.
A Tide Pod?
Yeah, shirt.
What?
You know, like you're doing laundry, AmericaShirts. What? Oh, he
I'm
doesn't
still
get
confused.
it. He's so confused. It's all right. Everybody just laugh at him. See, everybody's going to say hi. Oh, see,
I don't see
can't
anybody in the restream
I
chat.
know, right? Exactly. It's not populated into the restream. So now that you're actually here for the moment, I'm going to restart this. I'll be right back.
He left. Which means I can insurrect the stream finally. Fulfill my true destiny as a terrorista, according to the Democrats. So here on out, we are insurrecting the stream. We're going to institute Handmaiden's Tale, and we're going to do a bunch of. Oh, there he is. Hi, Koolfrogg. How's it going? We weren't insurrecting anything.
Well, let's see if it actually populates the chat this time. If it doesn't, I mean, I might just have to actually put in the cancellation for it and just cancel this crap because, I haven't really had that many issues. It's only a couple times now that this has actually happened within the last week. Where chat isn't updating, isn't pulling itself into the restream, so we can actually see what everybody's saying. I really don't understand why. It seems as though it's having an issue connecting. Restream's having an issue connecting to the YouTube. Because if I look down below, I can see that it's actually attached to the Twitch. It's just not attached to the YouTube side of things. I don't know if I can actually change anything. If I can edit that.
Since we were doing things with Biden here, I feel like this is a little appropriate.
Oh yeah, it's more than appropriate.
Help! I've fallen and I can't get up! Thinking you can do simple tasks like walking upstairs and riding a bicycle? Help! I was riding a bicycle, but then I fell down! Have you fallen and have no idea where you are? Help! I've fallen and I don't know where I am! Well, you're in luck! What? Introducing Help! I've fallen down and I can't get up, and I don't know where I am. From Joe Biden. What's that? And who the hell am I? Help! I've fallen down and I can't get up and I don't know where I am is the latest, greatest gadget to help rescue people who think they're fit to do things but aren't really fit to do anything at all. Wow! That sounds like me! Does it actually work? Of course it does, stupid! Just press the button and we'll pretend nothing happened. Wait a minute. What's my name? Did I fall down? I don't know. Did you? I have no idea. Did I? We won't tell if you don't. Help! I've fallen and I can't get up and I don't know where I am. From Joe Biden. 81 million satisfied customers. Wait, what?
That's the United spot. That is the United spot. Everybody should make sure that you actually go subscribe to their YouTube channel.
We won't tell if you won't. What?
Oh man. So then more things about Biden and his cabinet. Look at this. It says breaking: top Biden officials don't have business experience. And if you actually, I don't know what experience they actually had to be the most qualified for the positions that they were selected for. I really don't. It really doesn't make any sense. I mean, we know that, the first black woman vice president, there's reasons that she was in the bottom of the polls, and then she still got handpicked, selected to be the vice president. I had a conversation with Grimsbar within the last, I don't know, couple weeks here, whatever. He had been going through how the vice president actually gets picked, and you're not actually supposed to be able to just free willy-nilly pick whoever you want. Basically, the way it's actually written is that the president is the one that gets the most votes. The vice president is the one that actually comes in second. So in all actuality, technicalities would be is if because Joe Biden is the most legitimate president, that his vice president should actually be Donald Trump, not some random that he decides to pick for the position. It's never supposed to be that way, and it's not written any other way for that particular reason. So that way, the government isn't all handpicked, selected, in the way they want it to be. Yes, if you actually look it up, you actually see how it's actually written. Yes, Grim actually pulled that up, and we were talking about it, and we were like, wow, that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It was never supposed to be whoever you just randomly wanted to pick for the position. It was supposed to be the second person was supposed to be the vice president. And it changed. I don't remember exactly who the president was at the time that it actually changed under or whatever, but it's very interesting when you actually know who's actually supposed to be the president and who's actually supposed to be the vice president when the president is elected. And it's supposed to be the person that comes in, it gets the second most amount of votes, which would kind of open it up to the people that would be running in a third party to actually, if they got enough votes, that they would actually maybe be ushered in as, the vice president. And yeah, I'd go talk to Grimsbar about that one if you're confused. He'll totally pull that article back up and explain it to you. Div Inity, she says that'd be weird if the second place was the VP. I wonder if they'd get along. And that's the thing, is it doesn't matter if they got along or not. That's to keep the corruption from, evolving in the government, and that's what's going on. Is just deep evolution of crap that they're actually, ushering through. I believe it says it in the Constitution. I don't remember which amendment it actually was that actually explains this, or which part of it. I'm having tadpole issues at the second. You want to keep the audience distracted, AmericaShirts?
Distracted?
Well, give me a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Want to distract people. But, oh, hey, look, there's some things popping up on the restream side of things there. What do you know? But some of these top people don't have business experience, while others do, such as people that were in, say, BlackRock, for example. One of the guys that's on TV a lot is a former BlackRock employee as a spokesperson for the Biden administration to media at times. I forget what his official position in the White House is entitled, but he is former employee of BlackRock, and so are a great many other people within Biden's cabinet, as well as advisors and other different people in positions that he's appointed. In the executive, that he's appointed. They're all, a lot of them are from BlackRock. I think it's like, what is it? A third of them are former BlackRock employees, and one's at some capacity or another. So, yeah, some of these top people don't, but there is the BlackRock thing going on there.
So then, it's not a long article. It just pretty much, says the top Biden officials don't have business experience. It says most of Biden's officials, it repeats itself, as the committee to unleash prosperity conducted a survey at the Biden camp exposing that most of Biden's group have no business experience. And it really doesn't really go on too far other than to throw the committee to unleash prosperity. So this is analysis. Majority of top Biden officials have zero business experience. The nation's economic problems are in the hands of the people who are not ready for prime time, new report shows. A survey, which you can actually go to the survey, says of the employment history of 68 top officials in the Biden administration, starting with the president himself, shows most of the nation's senior executive branch policymakers have zero experience in the private sector. This analysis of the committee to unleash prosperity explains why the Biden policies on the economy have been such a failure. Almost none of the key policymakers know anything about business, commerce, or finance. Oh, hello, Dwight. That's awesome. See, the Twitch side's working. Did you go away? What are you doing? In preparing for the report, economists Steve Moore and co-author Jonathan Decker examined the work history of the president's cabinet, regulatory officials, the White House advisors. They found the median years of business experience is 0. 62% of Biden appointees dealing with economic policy, regulation, commerce, energy, and finance have no practical experience working in the private sector. The vast majority of Biden's economic commerce team consists of professional politicians, lawyers, community organizers, academics, lobbyists, and government employees. So not a single person knows exactly what they're doing. They're just there to do absolutely nothing, because there's somebody else that has to be knowing what they're doing to be able to push things and get things, set out correctly. Are you still with me, AmericaShirts?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the Trump cabinet averaged more than 10 years of business experience. So, I mean, and that's an average. So it's like some of them are below that, but there's some of them that are above the 10 years experience in business. And obviously Trump himself was a businessman, and he had, I don't know how many years of business experience he really had. I know that he'd been around for a long time doing a lot of things, from Trump Towers to casinos to whatever else, golf courses, have his own TV shows. I mean, obviously, the guy was well known for his business acumen. Hello, Susie7727. Oh, logged into Twitch. Yeah, see, you go and log into the Twitch side, go subscribe over there. We can actually see all your chats come through. Just kidding. Not everybody has to. I can still see everybody who's sitting over in YouTube, so I don't know what's going on with why the studio's not tying itself to Restream. If it's going to continue to do that, I'm going to switch out of Restream and I'm going to go over and do something else. Maybe I'll use OBS or something. Yeah, see, Dwight, Twitch is owned by Amazon, equal monster. So let's see, It's easy to understand why we have a highest inflation in 40 years. The economy may have already put America into a recession. Despite the White House claims like record job creation, a sizable majority of the country now believes, according to the latest poll, that America is on the wrong track. The people making economic policy have never worked in the real world. Americans are hurting, and we need a change of course immediately. The United States has the highest inflation rate in 4 decades. The stock market sell-off has liquidation of $10 trillion in wealth. Retirement savings are dwindling. Consumer, small business, investor confidence are shrinking. There's a widespread concern that America is at best teetering on the edge of recession and may already be in one. And in terms of growth, the economy has flatlined. Instead of having the best minds in America working on these problems, the president is relying on political and policy stooges who couldn't make a garden grow, let alone the U.S. GDP. That's funny. They couldn't make they couldn't make a garden grow. This is all from the president, or principal author of the study, Mr. Moore. Susie says flatlined in Canada too. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. We'll go on to the next. It's still Joe Biden. The thing is even the closest to him are the worst people for the case. Joe Biden drops detrimental bomb on Joe. This is from yesterday. It's still the 18th for me. The president and first lady are continuing the gaffes that they have come to be known for. Early on Sunday, President Biden arrived back at the White House for his 4-day Middle Eastern tour, during which Biden had accused a Saudi official of lying about the topics discussed in a private meeting with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. While again downplaying his infamous first bump with the prince, the image of the friendly fist bump drew harsh backlash from the publisher of the Washington Post and the widow of Khashoggi, who was killed in a gruesome assassination that U.S. intelligence services say bin Salman ordered. Hours earlier, just after Air Force One was taken off from Jeddah, Saudi Minister of State and Foreign Affairs Adel Al-Jubeir called a Fox News reporter and claimed that he did not hear Biden confront bin Salman, known as MBS, over the murder of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi. This is what I remember hearing. I don't remember hearing anything else that had anything to do with the Khashoggi thing. So everyone, restream sucks because I like it, and now I'm going to use it even more. No, I'm having issues with it, expert. I seriously didn't have this many issues with it for the last 6 months than I did in the last week. I really have never had this many issues with it. And being that I'm continuing to have these issues, I'm pretty sure that by the time I'm done with this paid session or whatever, which comes up, I don't remember when it comes up. I think I just paid it for like a week ago or something. I'll just cancel it and I'll go switch myself over to the other, just because. I was thinking of doing an OBS thing or whatever and turning on a camera filter, do something a little different so people actually see that I'm not just some little blobby dot, that they can actually see that there's an actual human being.
You're not a blobby dot?
No.
What the hell? I've been living my whole life is a lie. What the hell?
Hey, Tom.
I'm speechless. I don't know what to do. He's not a blobby daub, ladies and gentlemen. I am without words. I don't know.
I'm not a cat.
What to say.
No, Dwight. I'm not. Nothing near that. I'm not going to sit there and claim that I'm a dog or a cat or a dolphin or anything else for that.
Like that lawyer dude? Who the hell?
That's wondering. It's like who?
oh, is this Legal Eagle on YouTube? Is that the guy?
Maybe. I don't know.
Or as Barnes likes to call him, Legal Schmiegel. Which I would tend to agree. That guy's an asshole. Anyway.
Squad Bob says Koolfrogg gonna hop. It just may happen sooner than you like to think. So it says Al-Jabeer's claim seems to be directly contradict Biden's account that the meeting with MBS on Friday, after which the president said that he had raised Khashoggi's murder at the top of the meeting and accused the crown prince of directing the plot. On the South Lawn, when asked if Al-Jabeer was telling the truth about the meeting, Biden bluntly replied, "No." Hatis, Khashoggi's fiance, shared what she believed her late love's reaction would be to the first bump. This was the accountability you promised for. The blood of MBS's next victims is on your hands. Biden also reads comments by the report. Also read Sengig's comments by a reporter who had been asked for president's response. "I'm sorry she feels that way," the president answered. "I was straightforward back then, and I was straightforward today." Biden's approval rate was at 33%, and only 13% of Americans thought that the country was heading in the right direction. They like to cover this particular fact for whatever reason over and over again to actually point that he actually keeps on dwindling and dropping. He's below that 30%.
Impeach
right now.
Joe Biden. Operation Baked Potato commence.
Oh, YouTube decided to actually put something. It connected itself finally.
Divinity says, "I like him." You like who?
No clue who she likes.
I know.
It seriously allowed one comment and it stopped again?
Wow.
The hell? How stupid. So sick of this shit. But, the point is, yeah, impeach Joe Biden. This is not anything that should ever be. I'm not going to finish the article. I'm upset with the situation. And everybody that isn't upset with the situation.
She likes Legal Schmiegel?
Yes.
Ugh.
I mean, she has the right to like whoever she wants. I'm not going to tell her she can't.
No, we don't live in a free country anymore, so I just get to make up rules. No Legal Schmiegel.
I'm going to try that one more time.
No
I'll be
Legal
right back.
Schmiegel. And back to the insurrecting of the live stream here, where we're going to institute a full-blown Yahtzee theocracy state with Handmaiden's Tale across the board, because that's what conservatism in America is all about, ladies and gentlemen, according to the left. So that's what we wanted to do on Jan 6. So we're going to insurrect stream, and we're going to turn this stream into promoting the to some sort of we're gonna have some fun here when Koolfrogg gets back. And there he is. Hello.
Hello, Bearded Apostle. How's it going? I want to hold a conversation with you at one point in time here within the next few days. I have an issue with Restream. I really don't know if I want to use StreamYard. I want to see if I can't set up an OBS and turn on a filtered camera. I do have a way of actually doing that. I'm wondering if you know anything about OBS and if you could help me.
Oh, there he says, I made frog pale green. Have a look in Discord. You can have any other shade. I can fully customize. Neat.
Made me green. You're going to have to look to see what he actually did here real quick. I guess we have to go to Lodge.
Oh, and by the way, since we're in a little bit of a pause here,
Awesome.
I would like to mention, you were mentioning about the vice president earlier, and in 1804 there was an amendment to the Constitution stating that the vice president was to have a separate election, and the purpose for this is to create a line of succession for the presidency, because before then there was no such line that was created in the manner in which it was down the line, right? Like, it's to create, so as soon as, if the president is incapacitated, vice president takes over. And then of course there's also the dilemma of, well, why did this individual who won second place now gets to be the president when his job wasn't supposed to be the president? You know, like, I mean, there's a little bit of like, shall we say, not so great ways in which that was done earlier on, and that's why the Constitution has an amendment process. And of course, the Constitution was ratified in 1789, right?
Expert,
And then in
I'm going to clear this
1804,
up real quick because
directly
it's
after.
right on front of my face. I'm going to tell you again, not everybody that wins something cheats. Just saying. Because, he's pointing out that I've cheated in poker. I didn't. I just so happened to win. And so I'm saying, not everybody that wins something cheats.
They don't.
I'm not contesting that Joe Biden is the only president and best president ever with the most votes.
But anyways, that's the origin of the vice president being put on a separate ticket, is the 12th Amendment. So this is the first 10 amendments is the Bill of Rights. And then you had the 11th Amendment, and then here's the 12th Amendment directly after that in 1804. This is before the War of 1812 even. And they put it to where the vice president is on a separate ticket as the president, because the vice president's role should not be, oh, well, you won second place, so you get this. It's the vice president actually has duties that they're supposed to fulfill. And so the original idea may have been, well, we want to try to have some sort of a, counterbalance to something. But as it turns out, it's not exactly efficient to do so, because again, the vice president has a role to play in the presidential cabinet as well as the president of the Senate. And so they went on to do this, and not only is the line of succession thoroughly fleshed out in the 12th Amendment, but it is also talked about wherein if there is a dilemma within the Electoral College, then who is to pick the president, who is to pick the vice president, those things as well were not fleshed out originally in Article 2. And so this amendment was created to further flesh this whole process out. And in the process of doing that, they kind of realized, oh, well, if we're going to have a vice president and having vice presidential roles as the president of the Senate and as a member of the presidential cabinet, it's not exactly someone who should just be simply winning second place within the Electoral College. It should be a separate position itself. And they go on to say that the House of Representatives is the one who then votes in the president if the Electoral College is tied or something's finagled enough to the point in the Electoral College process that by the time that a president needs to be chosen and put into office, the process of the Electoral College has not been fully done. So let's say there's some sort of like fraudulent behavior in the Electoral College, for example, or there's something where the Congress looks at it and says, these aren't legitimate for whatever reason. This was not legally cast from this state. We can't accept it. And there's a process that goes on to the point that where, well, we're to the point that a president needs to be put into office, but we don't have a president selected yet. And so then the Congress would have to step in and would actually have to vote in that kind of a weird situation in the Electoral College process. And that was not fleshed out in the original Article 2 of the Constitution when the Constitution was originally drafted and then ratified. And so that's where this comes from, is that it's not necessarily some sort of like some sort of totalitarian ploy, rather that it's something where it's like, the executive shouldn't be split into two, for one thing. That was an idea of Jefferson, that the executive should be split
What's
into
up,
two. You
Madcore?
should have two presidents, and by two presidents, then you make every decision. That actually splits the presidential cabinet up a whole hell of a lot. And if you look at the presidency of Jefferson and of John Adams, and then Jefferson being his vice president, there was a lot of animosity between the two. And in the presidential cabinet itself, there was hostility amongst the presidential cabinet itself, and nothing gets done. You need to have a president, a head executive, and not the cabinet, sort of this infighting that goes on to where nothing in the cabinet itself is agreed upon or gets done. And then on top of that, like I said, you have to, and on top of that, the line of succession wasn't all the way fleshed out. And then, of course, in a weird scenario of, well, what if there's a tie in the Electoral College, or what if for some reason or another Electoral College votes, not all of them are fully gone through and verified by the time the president needs to be put into office. Then what do we do based with the information we have from the Electoral College process and so forth? And so the Congress then would come in and then vote, representing those, again, obviously from those Electoral College votes, each congressional district is an Electoral College vote for each state in the Electoral College process. So the Congress then, in that kind of situation, would vote for the tiebreaker, or for some sort of a weird finagled election of that sort. And again, as well, the vice president again has their own duties. As the vice president, he has his own role as the president of the Senate, and so therefore, the vice president on a separate ticket than the president, then the vice president would get picked if there's something to do with the vice presidential pick, where the vice president is in the same way, where in this Electoral College process, the vice president is in a tie or something like that, then the Senate would come together and vote in for the vice president, rather than it just simply being, oh, well, here's your second place trophy. You get to be the vice president now and get a position of power. That's not exactly all that efficient, and it's not very good for a democratic republic that we have, to have that sort of thing. Because then if the president dies and the vice president takes over, because that is in Article 2, where if the president dies and the vice president takes over, well, you're just the guy that won second place. What power do you have? Right? Like, there's that animosity already there. But if you have him on a separate ticket, oh, well, then you're the vice president doing vice presidential roles. You just happen to be the person that's in the line of succession. Okay, that's fine then. We voted on you. We didn't vote for that guy. Even though he's like, oh, I'm second place, he didn't win. You see what I'm saying? And so then the fighting would ensue of like, well, he didn't win. What legitimacy did he have? Whatever. And they quickly realized that that process doesn't really work all that great for the vice president themselves. And so rather than him winning second place, he actually has his own ticket on the Electoral College process. And that was developed in the 12th Amendment in the year of, it was developed in 1803, ratified in 1804, which again, very soon after the Constitution was put into place. So, and if I have let me see here.
So 1804 would have been Thomas Jefferson.
Right, right. So yeah, so the presidency of John Adams really put that into into practice, because there was a hell of a lot of infighting between the president and vice president, because the vice president was running for president, which was Jefferson, and then John Adams went batshit, and so there's this infighting in the executive branch itself, and then John Adams went completely tyrant mode towards the end, and he was like trying to lock up people from Jefferson's side of the political spectrum. Jefferson, well, not exactly like, it's not like it was completely opposite ends of the spectrum per se, like you would see it today, but John Adams just like flipped his shit. I mean, John Adams was a very good man, but in that position of power, he went full blown panic mode and was like, oh my God, if Jefferson does X, Y, and Z thing, that might topple everything over. Oh my God, I have to do whatever. And he just lost it. And that's bad. And he went like kind of tyrant mode after that. And he went after the Jefferson campaign and actually locked up people in the Jefferson campaign because, oh my God, they're going to like collapse the United States Constitution before we even get started. Da da da. And none of that was true, but Adams just like spun himself into a tizzy, and that was bad. And so again, that sort of process that happened, the Congress is like, yeah, okay, maybe we need to like flesh this out a little more, and maybe we need to change this up a little bit. Like let's give the vice president a separate ticket. So, I mean, as much as I love Grimm's Bar, Grimm's Bar has this habit of, you know, he's in his little world, and he discovers something himself, and he thinks that he's the only person in the world that's ever thought about it or discovered it, and so he's like, oh my golly, I found this new discovery, when we've already been over this before in history. There's a reason for these things happening. Like, it's not like Grimm is just like, you know, this guru that just finds all this stuff out. Like he does have this habit of, it's like I said, I like Grimm and all, but he does have this habit of like, you know, like not acknowledging the past, of just like, you know, living in this ever present of like, oh, like, you know, like I just found this thing and this is the way it's supposed to be. And oh my God, it's like, well, yeah, it was, but then Jefferson and Adams happened, and then they changed it really quick because it didn't work exactly as planned, as originally thought. And so they
Div Inity says, yeah, all guys are like that. It's annoying.
That's not true. Hence myself. Am I not male?
She said, shirts, are there no mirrors in that laundry room?
The hell?
Divinity's lit today. She's just on fire. That's all.
I hated that people say it's like, oh, men are assholes. Oh, men are this. I could go on a rant about all this stuff, because it's like I can sit here and I can actually like read through all this stuff before I make any assertions, but then like some other dude will do it, and it's just like, oh, well, that's just the guy thing. It's like, well, what the hell am I? Am I a eunuch? Like, what? Like, am I a dolphin? What the hell am I? Like, I don't get this shit. Like, you know, I mean, you know, this is stupid. I mean, our founding fathers, they didn't just haul off and just go willy-nilly and just write some damn thing down. They went through and they studied what is the best form of government, and they established it. Like, this isn't, you know, like, this is a stupid mentality to have that some people seem to particularly have in the modern day, where it's just like, oh my God, like, oh, it's this, whatever, it's a guy thing. Like, guys are just stupid, whatever. Like, that's not true. That's a lie. So, anyways, I could go on a whole rant. I'm not going to.
We triggered you. That was good. Awesome. Thanks for the rant. Everybody's sitting there, rant. Well, not everybody. Just a couple. Divinity says, call me stupid again, idiot.
Hey, I'm not calling anybody stupid. I just think Grimm sometimes gets a little misguided in his quest to understand things. He kind of thinks to himself like, oh my God, like I just found this thing out. It's like, but we've already been there. like we were there like almost like 200 years ago. Like, we already went through this. Like, you know, he's a very good person. He's very smart, very intelligent, but there are those, you know, there's things where he, in his quest to understand more things about history, he's like, oh, I just came across this. And it's like, well, yeah, but we already went over that. Like, you know, So, anyways, that's the explanation for that
I
earlier.
wish you could see chat from YouTube. It's great. So then, let's go off of this here. It says Republicans deliver bad news to Joe Biden. There's a couple quotes in here. It says, if President Joe Biden's party loses control of both chambers, he could end up facing impeachment after several Republicans indicated that GOP majorities would move in that direction. Which, again, I don't think that it's really necessarily a good thing if they don't go ahead and also impeach the whole cabinet, which would take care of, potentially take care of the vice president as well. Because if after this midterm, we may not actually have to worry about Nancy Pelosi because, a new whatever would be somebody new would be appointed for that position as Speaker of the House. I really would hope so anyway. So let's see here. There's a couple of different quotes in here. I really believe that impeachment could be on the table, and I would support that certainly. This is Gooden. And it says the bar was so low to impeach President Trump, and even if the bar were raised exponentially, I believe that President Biden has met that requirement. What we're seeing at the border is not just criminal, but it is immoral. The fact that our United States government is putting its own citizens behind those of other nations and also encouraging human trafficking. And what we're seeing is they are filling the bank accounts and the cash stashes of the cartel, and it's really a travesty. And it's not what the country should be about. Assuming the Republicans take over one or both houses, it's pretty likely they will try to impeach Biden. Anything is on the table when we are in the majority. We're focused on the laser of the crisis in America. And what I hear from voters, even in my district in northern New York, because I represent Border Patrol officers who have been transferred again and again and again to the southern border, is that the crisis after crisis is a catastrophe. That's Stefanik. What I believe we should focus on is conducting oversight and making sure that we're passing legislation to secure the border once and for all and return the policies of the previous administration under President Trump. The thing that I think Biden has done that is genuinely unprecedented in the history in this country is to sanction, encourage, and pay for the invasion of this country. A lot of negative things I could say about Bill Clinton, but Bill Clinton did not allow an invasion on this scale or actively encourage people to do it. Even while the leading cause of death for communities among young people is the fentanyl they're bringing in from Mexico. This is Vance. He continues, this is ridiculous. It's traitorous conduct, and we need to do something about it. And of course, let's bring up, Mr. Hunter, because while you were paying $5 a gallon at the pump and struggling to pay for your electricity bill, Biden sold 1 million barrels of our reserve oil to China so his family can make a buck. We all freaking know that. We all watched it happen. That was the Congressman Troy Nels. So looks to me like the Republican Party is really going to step up their game as soon as what they expect to happen happens. which would be to take both the House and the Senate, and can go and they can run, roughshod over the whole thing and just take out whoever they decide to want to take out and replace anybody they feel like replacing. Do I think that it's actually going to happen that way? I really don't know. It could be just as scary going that way as it is what it's going like right now. When you actually turn hands over to one side and one side only, they start spending billions of dollars on some random shit like Ukraine.
Operation Baked Potato commence. And by the way, I don't know what the hell is going on in the YouTube chat. I have yet to follow any of this. I have no damn clue what the hell's being said.
It's seriously, I'm watching. I can see it I can only see it in studio. For you to actually pay attention to chat, you'd have to actually open up your own instance of YouTube and watch chat from there.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I cannot follow what's there. Like, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I don't understand anything that's going on.
Oh, it's awesome. They're actually talking to each other as opposed to talking to us. It's awesome. I love it. It's the best thing to ever happen.
Oh, yeah,
to
like,
us.
I'm not saying stop talking. I'm just, like, I don't know what the hell's going on. But anywho's.
Tash says there's no need for fossil fuels. It's obsolete. I have a few things to say about,
Wait,
particular. It looks like Tash Murray in YouTube side says there's no need for fossil fuels. It's obsolete.
Tash?
Yep, that's what it says.
Who's Tash? Where's that? Oh, there's
new
Tash.
new
Is this a
people.
new viewer?
Yeah, there's new people that have never watched any of our stuff before. Because I picked up like 10 to 15 people, subscribers within the last few days, from playing game to joining other people's streams.
Is this individual Tash from like Bearded Apostle or Madcore?
I don't know. It's
whatever,
either Madcore or Bearded Apostle is my guess. I'm not really.
Well, however the hell you got here. Hi, how's it going? Nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Welcome. I'm going to actually get into that a little bit with you, whatever, on the fossil fuels being obsolete. To make and construct solar panels, wind turbines.
Oh my God, that reminds me.
And anything else that you use for what they call clean energy really takes a lot of resources to build those. When I say it uses a lot of resources, these oil refineries that are out and about that produce such things as plastic, I can't think of everything that's inside all this. There's lots of different forms of metals and polycarbonates that actually are used to make such devices to actually. What do you got here? You got something to actually help me out?
This is a solar panel farm. Look at this. And
look at that. The whole freaking half of the mountain.
Look at this. These things are like
ridiculous.
Now,
oh, that's so loud. Wow.
People's Daily. This is like whole mountainsides and ridges just chocked full of solar panels. Now, think about how much. What the hell? Why is that damn?
Why is that so loud, man?
I don't know what the hell. This keeps blowing up in here.
But, sorry, headphone users.
Yeah, sorry. It's not expected. But you can see where. I mean, look at the ground cover.
Each one of those panels consists of so much metal, plastic, polycarbonates, and other things that are actually used and produced from oils and ore. So when you go and you mine the oil and you mine the ore, you bring it to refineries and you actually process it and use it and to produce such things as wind turbines and solar panels. All of that stuff, once those actually die out, because they all have a life expectancy, all need to go somewhere. When they actually make it to the landfill, they do not break. They stay there forever, and they pollute the ground that they're buried in. So you can see, like, this mountain is filled with this. There's no vegetation that's able to grow there any longer because of the contamination that these panels have created. This is not good and not healthy for the land to actually continue to process any of this kind of stuff.
And again,
This is going to produce the energy that you need to power anything.
yeah, none of this is enough to power a city, by the way. Like, this is just an additive. This is not efficient at all. Like, this cannot sustain a city full of people. This many solar panels, it can't do it. There's not enough power generated from this to be able to sustain a city full of people with all of their different devices and all the different things, air conditioning, central air heating, things like that. And then on top of that, oh, we want to add in electric cars? Holy hell. You're never going to be able to do that. And that's the whole point of going this direction, is because it takes too much money and effort and time to put that much solar panels and wind turbine stuff everywhere like this. And on top of that, it's not even efficient enough to do anything. And so everything's just going to collapse anyway. So, I mean, there's literally no infrastructure. That's the whole point. Like, this is useless. Like, this does nothing except cover the ground with shit and virtue signal. Like, it's just a blip in the electrical grid for the grand scheme of things in comparison to coal and natural gas and other fossil fuel type fuels. This can't do anything to fuel an entire city full of people. It just can't. By itself, it cannot do anything. You need that added coal burning to the power plants to actually make this happen. And again, to transition to this is to transition off a cliff into nothing, because this will not sustain you. I mean, people who have solar panels all over their freaking roofs of their house, they can't even keep their house up with everything in the house. And yet all these solar panels are supposed to keep up everyone's house in a city or a large large community of some kind. Like, it can't do it. And then, oh, we're going to add electric cars to that, and this can't even sustain normal living. Even if you minimalize electricity usage to normal living, it still can't do it. And this has been tested, and people have done it. I mean, you're taking us off a cliff, because this not only doesn't work, it's inefficient. And again, the infrastructure for things like this to exist, really and truly, across the country, doesn't exist. So you are throwing us...
Killshot, if I could grab that and pull it up on screen and actually show the world what that actually says. His quote is, "Let's kill the earth while we try to save the earth." Because it's exactly what we're doing. We're not paying attention to what's the best for anybody. You're just assuming, oh, that thing over there is letting off a lot of CO2 into the air. And
which
that
plants
doesn't
eat
look
and
healthy.
then put off oxygen for us to breathe in. It's like it's like we were meant to cohabitate with each other, as though it was like, like plants are meant to live and, like, absorb those things that we put off, and vice versa. Like, I wonder. Oh, but no, we'll just cover the ground with solar panels, and that'll fix things.
That'll fix things. That'll take away all the trees that can grow there, because we don't need trees to breathe, right? Oh wait, we actually do.
Yeah, or else oxygen doesn't get recreated. That's part of the cycle of life on the planet, is the photosynthesis process of helping to create oxygen for us to breathe in.
Hello, IDCrisis. IDCrisis is that the Earth can be killed at all is a huge assumption. I mean,
well,
it is,
true.
But at the same time,
I don't think we mean. Well, he might be making another point, but if it is 2 points that we have been making, I don't believe that we have been making the point itself to suggest that the entire Earth would be destroyed by solar panels, rather that the Earth being a general term for the ground beneath.
And
where you
that's
would be doing
exactly
it.
what I was talking about, Susie. She's
Right.
right there. She's like, the huge blades of those turbines are put into landfills and there's no way to break them down. Exactly. It just sits there and creates pollution to the ground. It pollutes the ground with, and then there's nothing that can actually grow there either.
And again,
so
a hailstorm, snowstorm,
cut down a
ice
tree,
storm.
and you go and you put up this big wind turbine because you don't want, these. You need
Solar
space
panels,
so that
wind
it
doesn't work.
actually spins and doesn't hit anything, and it still spins and hits things like birds aren't real, knocks out birds, knocks out different things, and then once they wear out, once it actually hits a bird and it's dented, they say it's no longer good. So then they go they remove the panel, they put a new one up there, or new turbine up there, whatever, and they go and they trash that into a landfill, creating more and more hazard to this earth. So I mean, there's so much.
Now, if you want to use a solar panel system for small scale stuff, that is to say that you wouldn't have the number of appliances that the majority of Americans would have in their homes, and that if you were to just simply live very minimally, off, say, like you were to use solar panels to charge up a battery, and then at the end of the day, after you do your work or whatever, you want to come inside and plug in your PC or your laptop to the thing or whatever, and then power something like that, or power the internet for a little while, or power something else that needs done for a while, or charge something else up. It's efficient at a very small scale to charge things, but it's not efficient for the normal average household in the United States, to where you could sustain fridges, freezers, central air conditioning, toasters, toaster ovens, washer, dryer, like all these different appliances and stuff. If you were going to go into a more survival scenario, like we may have to end up doing here in the fall-ish type of thing, not it would be technically considered that. It's not necessarily like a doomsday per se, but it's definitely probably most likely going to be a depression here in the fall, economic depression. It would be wise.
We're gonna throw a guest in. I'm not gonna make this a free for all. We're gonna let him come in here because he has something interesting to throw at us, I'm assuming. Hello, bearded apostle. How's it going?
Oh, hey.
Have you heard of washing machine motor conversion energy production?
No. You want to enlighten us?
You can take the motor in a washing machine, reverse the wiring in it, and attach it to your garden hose, and have it go through a miniature turbine. And instead of taking energy in to spin the drum, it will spin and produce energy.
How much?
Not a lot, but enough to charge a battery over a period of time if you're running it off your garden hose, or if you've got it attached to a bike, or so you can sit there and charge up a 12-volt battery using a trickle filter or trickle charger or something like that. So you get your daily exercise and your survival scenario. You jump on a bike. Say you've got 5 people living together, 5 hours a day. You'll easily charge up a couple of 12-volt car batteries, run them in series, and you've got 240 volts.
Hey, that's neat. I didn't even know that.
Interesting.
So, I mean, I know a guy, actually, if you want to learn about it, there's a guy, I'll send you later, the link. He's a YouTube guy. He did it. He put together a small hydroelectric power turbine generator plant using washing machine parts, and he put it in a small creek in his property, and it runs his TV and fridge and stuff like that. But what he primarily uses it for is energy storage. So he fills up his energy storage cells, and he's on mains power until such time as he needs that, and then he uses that energy. And what he has is he has a device attached to every battery that if the battery starts to lose charge, it activates. so that instead of that charge draining away from the battery, it then supplements his mains power supply.
That is awesome. I wonder how you go about getting that, because that
By a
to
washing
me
machine.
sounds like, well, yeah, but that to me would sound like something that would be even cheaper than trying to buy some sort of like a solar setup and charging a battery
way
that
cheaper.
way.
Way cheaper. Solar's incredibly inefficient. One thing that there was a New Zealand company that was looking at something for a while, which was solar paint, and it used UV sensitive phospholipids or whatever they're called, UV sensitive, so they get agitated in exposure to UV light, and they build up kinetic energy. And if you were to paint it to lots of different surfaces within your house, because UV light and whatnot can be redirected and spread out, so you can have like a UV disperser in the ceiling that takes in UV light from the outside and disperses that UV light throughout your home. And if you had your TV painted in it, your radio painted in it, your computer painted in it, the toaster, all of these electrical appliances painted in it. And under each of these appliances, wireless charging for phones. Well, you reverse that technology. So they put out a current to a wireless receiver, and that power all then trickles down into a power storage or energy storage device. So I don't know how far they got with it. Another option that's been looked at is harnessing the ocean currents. So putting very slow spinning turbines in fixed position, so anchored to the seabed, and place them into the currents so that the ocean currents flow through the turbines, slowly spinning the turbines.
That sounds like that would be damaging to the fish. And
I know who the link is, Cumshot. What I'm going to do is I will send it to Koolfrogg, and then Koolfrogg can disperse it, because I'm not going to use this stream to advertise another channel, but I'll send it to him, and then if he incorporates this particular streamer into his content in some way, because this guy basically, he will go out and he will look for busted ass tractors, bulldozers, diggers, and he fixes them, and they generally give them to him if he can get them running. And this guy's got, in his own little property, he's got a full-on grader, like a road quality grader. He's got a couple of diggers. He's got countless boats, bulldozers, tractors, backhoes, plows, and none of them cost him anything really.
Wow,
crazy.
The easy way with the sea life is that they use frequency diversion. That's what they're experimenting with, is using sound frequencies in the water to encourage fish to flee from a predator. So the fish avoid the turbines and whatnot. It's still experimental technology, but it's far more consistent than wind. But don't forget, for every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. For every amount of energy you take out of something. Hang on, I'll be back in a minute once I yell at my kids.
Sure.
For every joule of energy that you take out of something like the ocean currents or tidal, because another thing is tidal energy, setting up turbines that are triggered by the incoming outgoing tide. If you remove that energy and you are not putting it back into the system, you could create an imbalance, because there is only so much energy. Like the moon affects the tides. It's only producing a finite amount of energy. So if you're removing that energy from the system completely, we could end up being like, well, the tides, the very tides themselves start to become affected. You could create tidal imbalance.
But the thing with the washing machine engine is interesting, because you said you could put it to a bike, and I'm wondering if you could like somehow get some sort of like an e-bike setup to where you could literally, like, by riding the bike around, charge the battery up, and then
you're talking about energy recovery. Yeah, energy recovery. So if you were riding the bike through town, it's quite bulky, but there are smaller devices out there that do recover. Most hybrid cars recover energy when they are rolling downhill or or sorry, under braking, and that goes back to their hybrid battery cells. But don't forget, battery cells, lithium-ion batteries, are incredibly destructive. The process of creating lithium-ion batteries, if they were to convert the entire world to that, would actually do much more environmental damage than every coal plant on Earth.
Oh yeah, but I'm just thinking about like a small scale, like if you had to like help you get along on like a little bike or something, if you could like do that kind of a rig and like with a battery on the bike, and as you like maybe one day you ride the bike normally, and then the next day you have the assistance of a little bit of like an e-bike type of a thing going on there.
Well, you couldn't use an electrical bike because then you're going into the grounds of perpetual motion. So the amount of energy that you're putting out, there is going to be a certain amount of loss. So you can never 100% recover the energy that you're putting out because you're losing some to friction on the road surface. You're losing some to having to overcome gravity, pushing you forward, so on and so forth. So you can never recover more energy than you put in. In fact, you will always lose energy. Otherwise, perpetual motion would be an easy thing. So you can't use energy to power an energy producer or a turbine, right? You must use some form of mechanical power generation. So hydroelectric, simply terms, the energy, you're taking the energy out of the water, flowing downhill with gravity, and you're using that to spin a turbine, which creates electricity. So you're converting kinetic and gravitational energy into electricity. With a wind thing, it's the same. You basically, the wind turns a coil which generates electricity. Even a nuclear power plant is little more than a fancy steam engine. So all they've done with a nuclear power plant is they've replaced the coal or the hot fuel source with radioactive rods, because it generates heat, and it heats the water, which creates steam, which pressurizes the steam turbine, which generates electricity. So nuclear power plants aren't harnessing the energy or the electricity of radiation. They're harnessing the heat. So the radioactive decay creates heat. That's why they use control rods. So the control rods come down and they actually slow down the rate of decay, because when you've got the radioactive particles zooming around, they almost never hit each other. So you actually have to add some order to it to force them to hit each other and collide, and then those collisions, those atomic collisions, generate heat, and then that heats the water, and then water turns to steam. Steam pressurizes, because one liter of water turns 1 cubic liter of water turns into 1,000 cubic liters of steam. So 1 liter of water can create 1,000 psi or something like that, massive amounts of pressure. And then you can get steam recyclers, which take the steam through to low heat steam, and then they basically recover as much energy out of it as they can, and then it goes back into the reactor core and heats up again.
Very well explained.
Interesting.
One very efficient form of energy production. It's very low, but it's fairly easy. Have you heard of Peltier elements?
I don't think so.
Okay, so a Peltier element, very, very common in early computer technology. You put together sandwiches of two different types of metal and it creates a reaction. And when you apply heat to one side of the Peltier element, the other side will go cold. So you can apply electricity to the Peltier element, and one side will go cold and one side will be hot. And you can use the cold side to suck the heat out of a CPU, and it'll convert it to the other side. So it'll spit the heat out the other side. And the other thing is that the more heat you apply, you can reverse a Peltier element, so it actually generates low levels of electricity. So the higher the temperature differential on a Peltier element from one side to the other, the more electricity it'll produce. So one thing I experimented with a while back was actually using a Peltier element in a small portable fridge. So I had, do you know what a Fresnel lens is?
No.
Fresnel lens, if you've ever watched the old school overhead projectors. Have you ever seen WALL-E?
Oh, the movie WALL-E?
Yeah.
Like the
and he puts
animation?
Yeah, and he puts the little tiny iPod under a lens and it grows massive. That's a Fresnel lens. So
okay.
what you can do with a Fresnel lens, if you reverse it, is you can focus the sun. So you can take the sun's rays and you can focus them through a Fresnel lens down into an extremely concentrated focal point, and you can put out enough energy to burn through timber, or enough heat to burn through timber. And what I was experimenting with was a 360-degree rotating rig where the Fresnel lens, using a Raspberry Pi hooked up to a laptop, would actually follow the sun. So it maintained optimal focus on the sun's beam. And that beam came down onto a plate of copper, which heats up very, very quickly. And that was on the hot side of the Fresnel lens, of the Peltier element. That would in turn cause the other side of the Peltier element, or it would cause it if the Peltier element was cold, on the other side to generate electricity. And then I had other Peltier elements that were designed to be powered by that Peltier element to cool the inside of the device, so that one Peltier element getting hot and being cold on the other side inside the fridge generated power, which then generated power that created the cool. And of course, you had a small battery that actually cooled the fridge, and I was experimenting with different technologies to cool it. So it's power assisted cooling. So what it does is, of course, you're losing energy because the heat is coming out through the walls of the device, and you're losing energy through heat release. But it extended the amount of time. I was trying to get it down to the point where I could run a fridge off a 12-volt battery for an extended period of time. And the principle was working. Yeah, the principle was working. Peltier elements are very simple technology. You've just got to apply a source of heat or a source of cold to them. Now, source of cold is very easy to apply, but if you apply a source of cold, generally you're in an environment where both sides are going to be cold. So the differential, so that they'll produce more electricity depending on the variation, the degree of difference between hot and cold. So if you have a box that's basically an insulated cold box, and then on the outside you apply a source of heat vis-a-vis the sun, you then produce electricity. And as long as you can keep that box cold and the sun hot, you will continue to produce electricity. It's just that they are quite expensive to make for the amount of energy they put out. But if you're ever in like an apocalyptic scenario, you can go out and find Peltier elements all over the place. So if you're ever planning for an apocalypse, go out and Google common devices containing Peltier elements.
Because I've been talking about different things to do for when, say, I think it's pretty obvious based upon every metric that we've been discussing that the U.S. and probably most of the world will enter a depression probably by the fall. For us, it's fall.
I think we're already in one. They're just not admitting it. They're using inflation to pretend we're not.
Well, right. And it'll be, the crap is going to hit the fan because they can try and inflate and they can do all they want and they can try to run away with it as much as they want to, but it's going to hit the fan. And it's I really, it's based upon every metric that, I've been looking at.
There's going to be a massive global food shortage within the next 12 months, and it's going to be luxury goods.
Yep.
What I've done is, in order to plan for what I call a constant supply survival situation, is that I have got a pantry where I've spent approximately $2,500 on basic food supplies. So rice, pasta, flour, baking goods, yeasts, acetic acids, cocoa, all of those things to make bread and basic food options. I've also got pasta sauces, tomato pastes. I've got beans, peas, corn, green beans, beetroot, all of the basic food groups. I've then got an entire freezer full of frozen vegetables and frozen meat. And the reason why I'm buying all of these things, like, they will still be available, but they will become more expensive, and your luxury items fall off your list if I can afford those. So if I start buying all of those now while they're cheap, and all these things have a very long shelf life, if the shit hits the fan and meat doubles, like for example, tomatoes during the season are $5 for a kilo. At the moment, they're $13 a kilo. I can still afford to buy tomatoes because I don't have to buy bread if I decide to bake my own. So what I've done is I've given myself two options. If supply was to disappear, I've got enough food to supply my family for 6 months, which gives us enough time to transition from a non-growing period into a growing period, and not just a growing period, but a production period, so a full harvest cycle, and to replace things like grains and vegetables and things like that and become semi-self-sustainable. Meat, you can just drop it out of your diet, and if you have to, like if things are getting really, really feral, there's going to be a whole city full of dogs and cats. People don't like to think about it, but you've got a constant supply of meat through dogs and cats and things like that if you have to survive. Because let's face it, if you have to survive and you need meat, a dog's going to get pretty tasty by the end of the day. If you live in an agricultural country, there's also going to be massive entire farms that are suddenly abandoned or no longer functioning. So that's a worst case scenario, total collapse of society. And the biggest danger there is people, because people will become desperate. Not everybody's going to have food. And when people can't feed their babies, they're going to get desperate. They're going to get violent. So you have to be able to survive that first period of chaotic collapse, social decay. Like social structure, law and order, they're the first thing to go, because it becomes the individual unit rather than the collective whole. But what I think we're more likely to encounter is what's called constant supply shortage. So everything's available, but it's available in a shortage status. So they'll put the prices up.
Right, in a controlled way. So they will, very controlled way, yeah. And the things that a lot of people in the U.S. have been talking about.
Luxuries. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that a lot of people in the U.S. have been talking about is the whole thing of like, well, it'll be shortages, there'll be riots, and so it'll be like, oh, well, we have to have martial law, and then, oh, well, don't worry, you can have some food because the government has stuff stocked up, or the government has this, or these big corporations have whatever, but you have to have a certain jab, or you have to have an ID thing, or, maybe, or you have to enter the FEMA camp, and in the FEMA camp, there's the food, folks, like that's the whatever, like that kind of like it would be a very controlled system. It's not like Mad Max, but it would be like a very controlled system. That they
just to speak to something I saw in comments that could be quite dangerous. No, grass is not digestible by the human body. That is why cows have so many stomachs, so that they can actually break down the grass. Human body cannot digest grass and will get no nutrients from it. Nothing. Nor can the human body sustain itself on lean meat. You could eat rabbits for 6 months and you'll die of starvation. So,
true.
But yeah, no, grass is not an option. Leafy greens. Do you know what microgreens are?
Oh, yeah.
Microgreens are a great option. Like, they're an absolutely great option. You don't have to wait for a full harvest season. You can just grow them until their earliest edible point and consume them in greater quantities. And as long as you've got seed supply, you're good. So what you should be stockpiling is basic supplies. So grains and flour-based products, pastas, rices, flours, baking goods, and seeds.
Oh yeah, I have a whole thing with seeds. I'm gonna plant this fall. I have a bunch of quinoa is what it's called. You know what quinoa is, or? Oh, he's talking.
Sorry, it's just kids. Wow. But you've just got to look at sustainability. Like I breed fish, right? Oxalotls are incredibly dirty animals. They will poop the living shit out of their tank. But oxalotls are also incredibly easy to breed. They're not very easy to rear, however, because baby oxalotls will only eat live food, technically. But what you can do is you can take protein flakes and break them up into crumbs, and you put them into water that lightly circulates, and that simulates the movement of brine shrimp or small items, and you can trick them into eating that non-living food. And if you can have say hundreds and hundreds of oxalotls in a 600 liter tank, and you're constantly filtering that water through your garden, you'll take all those nutrients out of the water, and you can supply an entire greenhouse off of that water, and in the same process send it back to the oxalotls healthy enough for them to survive. Oxalotls, if you really had to, could also become a food source because they reproduce very quickly. They grow quite quickly. Same with goldfish. If you had to, you can produce goldfish relatively quickly. The best thing, if you could be bothered having them, would actually be things like mud carp, grass carp. You can grow them to a very large size in as little as 6 months to an edible size, where you'd feed 4 or 5 individuals off a single carp. And you can grow them in incredibly concentrated numbers, let the water get really, really dirty, use that dirty to grow your microgreens. Things like that. And you can set that up in a double garage.
Nice.
I'm an absolute prepper, dude. I fully believe there's going to come a point where everything's there, but your average person's not going to be able to afford the nice shit.
Right. And that was the thing. I was talking there for a second. For people that live in the United States specifically, I don't know exactly what the weather would be to grow this kind of thing in, say, for you in New Zealand. But I'm starting up a patch of quinoa. I'm a gardener myself. Have you ever had quinoa before? Do you know what that is, or like it's sort of like a pseudo grain? It's round.
Is that like a traditional old grain? I think I've read about it.
It is. It's an old. They call it a pseudo grain, but you use it as a grain. You eat it as a grain.
Yeah.
And it was grown by the Inca for thousands of years.
Yeah. Can you powderize it for a flour substitute?
Yep.
Okay.
You can powderize it like a flour, and then you can boil it, and it's like rice.
Yeah.
And it's a full protein. It has all your essential amino acids in it, except for 2. And the 2 amino acids it doesn't have, they say that it's debatable whether or not adults really need those, but children do, because it's very essential.
Actually, I don't know if you're on our Discord. Can you link it to Frog and get him to
send me? He's in mine for sure.
Oh yeah, I can totally put some of these different things that I've researched up there.
I don't know,
but it's
I'm
a very.
Wait, there you are. Yeah, there I am. Yeah, if you can link me the information on that, I might look into that. Just to talk to chat too, by the way, Susie was saying that we have winter 7 months of the year. That's fine because you can grow winter vegetables, brassicas.
Oh yeah, quinoa,
cabbages, cauliflowers,
quinoa
broccoli. Yeah. So you survive on brassicas. They prefer to grow across cold periods. They are a winter vegetable, and they will just kick off in the spring. And the beautiful thing about cabbages is that you can make sauerkraut. You can you can take the cabbage, drop it into a vinegar, which is kind of like a sauerkraut. But the other thing you can do as well is get preserving jars, pressurized preserving jars. You can actually just drop the ingredients to a stew. So beef, carrots, potato, cabbage, whatever. Drop it in, pour the hot water in, put your preserving jars into your pressurizing pot, and they'll sit on the shelf for 6 months, quite happily, longer. Just make sure that if you're doing preserving, the ultimate thing is cleanliness. Wash and clean everything 5 times, and then do it again another 5 times. And then when you think it's clean, wash it again, because botulism will kill you every time.
Yeah, I was reading about that here. Like I think it was just today I was reading a little bit about that I'd forgot about with that. How do you pronounce it?
Fish is really low in protein anyway. You can't survive on fish alone, but you can, but not if you've grown up on a high protein diet. There's deficiencies that fish eating cultures have that meat eating cultures don't. Red meat eating cultures. But honestly, if you're in a survival situation, just go out and hunt the cows that no one's looking after anymore. Or go into a co-op. You and your mates, you each pay $100 each to buy a half a cow and have it butchered yourself. Skip the butcher. Skip the price hike that the supermarkets put on it. Buy it straight from the farm. Even learn how to butcher it yourself. There's plenty of videos out there on how to butcher an animal. So I don't know what the laws are in America on home kill, but
Yeah, I haven't really looked into that myself.
I'm
A lot
definitely
of
going to
things.
look into those quinoa beans. That's fascinating. I hadn't heard about them.
Yeah, and I was looking at it because I was like, this is something that the Inca grew, and they've grown it for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And I was looking at like various different things because I was like, it'd be awesome to grow my own grain, to have a grain to be able to make bread. I mean, bread has been the staple of mankind since forever. I mean,
Mhm.
and it's like, so I'm like, like getting a bread, getting kind of a grain, and wheat isn't efficient enough to grow in a smaller
No,
area.
no, it absolutely
Rye
isn't.
isn't anything like that, and none of those are. Even corn is better, but it's not as much.
How much
But
vertical height does quinoa need?
it needs a decent amount of vertical height. It gets very tall. I think it's like, no, I don't know about very tall, but it has a decent height for the thing. It's a very tall, stocky plant. It's, I think, 12 feet, maybe
12 feet.
ish. Is it 12? No, is it 12 feet?
Whew.
It was
I don't think
quite.
no.
No,
Is
I
it?
don't think it was that tall. It could get
No.
that tall if you didn't top it off.
Let me see.
Well, then that's something you'd grow along your fence. So you'd literally ring your property with a half a meter of quinoa around all your fence line. So you border your property in that because that's your highest growing plant. And then you might say, because basically, if you are worried about prepping and you are ever looking at a property, buy a property that has land.
Oh yeah.
Because land is sustainability, and from what I understand, empty land in America is still quite cheap.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what the hell I was thinking with, because it was like I said 12. I don't know what the hell I said 12. This thing says probably 6 to 6.5 feet tall. So that's
Okay,
not.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that
Yeah.
makes more sense. Right. Yeah,
Do you
that
know much
was.
about the Incas shirts?
I know some. I've been looking into a lot of things about the Incas here. One of the other things that the Inca grow a lot of is potatoes, and that's another thing where potatoes
Sort
are.
of.
Potatoes are awesome.
They grew an Americanized equivalent of what we call a kumara, or the sweet potato.
Oh yeah, yeah. They've grown.
Yeah.
They have like again. It's not like a russet potato, but they
No.
have their own types of
Same
potatoes
thing.
that are
Yeah.
similar to that. And then the other parts of the Incas towards the more like Bolivia or Colombia, a little more northern in there, where it's a little
Lots of
more
squash.
warmer. There's
Squash,
there's the
pumpkins. Yeah.
squashes. There's more of the sweet potato type, but more up
Tomatoes
in the
too.
more mountainous areas,
Yep.
in those cooler areas in the Andes, they have more of the sort of precursors to the more modern day potatoes that they'll grow there, and they continue to breed them. Actually, they have a whole
Yep.
they have a whole thing set up there where they will continue to breed different types of potatoes. They have like 1,200 to like 1,500 different types of potatoes.
We need to hold a second survival with America Shirts, and we'll invite a couple people over, Bearded Apostle, whatever, and we'll have another conversation about all that stuff.
I want to see him make a shirt called "I Survived America." But yeah, no, we could go into it for hours. Koolfrogg's absolutely right to hit it on the head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we tried to do that one time just with myself, but that didn't work out too well.
It worked. It just
and
conversation kind of leaned towards not knowing, or a particular person not knowing the difference between a potato and a potato seed, and we just we really went on a tangent.
Potato seed. They are the seed.
They can be, but
No,
there
they
is
are
such thing. There's no, I get that, but there's also a thing that's called a potato seed that you can actually buy.
Yeah, like
Careful
that's
with
what
them.
the Inca.
Highly poisonous, dude.
Well, right. And I was just making the point that like the Inca, what they do to breed their potatoes to get better types of potatoes, to get all these different species, is they will take the seeds and they will, and they'll start up new different types of potatoes. And that's how they get different species of them, is they'll crossbreed them like that. And then they'll take the seed and they'll plant them, and then they'll just keep it going until they get a tuber that's good. And then they'll do that one, and then they'll produce that like you would a normal potato, and take the seed from that, the seed potato from that, and then you multiply that, and that's how they do that. And I was trying to explain that somewhat, and it didn't really come. It didn't really come across.
Oh,
Because
you'll have
that
to
was
explain it to me someday too. I know nothing about potato hybridization. I had always thought it was done with the flowers. So
like through
taking, like taking the pollen from one potato to another potato. So like, let's say for example, we grow one type of potatoes. We find a freak plant that only produces really big potatoes. We take the pollen from that potato, so we regrow those big potatoes, right? And we take the pollen from those potatoes and breed them back to others. Yeah, I had always just assumed that potato hybridization was done with the flower, not the seed. So,
you mean
cut
like
the
if the
potato up into
flowers
pieces and
crossed and
plant
then
it
the
in the ground.
tubers changed? Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, that's what I sort of thought. I didn't realize that, because like the seed pod on a potato, I was always told to stay away from it because it's highly, highly poisonous, just like green potatoes.
Yeah, the flowers, they flower and then they do it like, like a normal plant. And then the Inca, and I watched a couple of videos where they'll have the seeds and they have like a little ceremony that they do where it's like, they think that they might have found another like new potato or whatever. And they go around and like each one does something or another. I have to look at that again, but they have a little shindig or whatever that they do. And then they plant the new seed and then they see if it grows a good potato. And if the potato's bad, then they go back to square one or whatever. But if the potatoes are better and good and so forth, then they breed those out like you would a normal potato tuber, and you just keep separating that and then you produce that. It's a very interesting thing. Not everybody can do that, obviously, but I was just kind of throwing that out as
what
like
I've done on
different thing I'd looked
Discord.
at.
If you join my Discord at some point, Shirts, Frog, you're already there. I've given you a new role, Frog, called the Bunker. If you look at the Discord, you'll see down the bottom I haven't put any rooms in yet. But what I'm going to do is that's going to be the Preppers channel or Preppers section. So we'll find videos on YouTube. We'll link them on YouTube. Things to like preserving, canning, growing, hybridization, microgreens. We'll have like maybe a bi-weekly or something video around prepping. And that just
you
could
already
be like,
gave me my own room. The Frog's Pond is there.
I know, but what this one is, the bunker, anyone who wants or is interested in prepping, I will give them the bunker role, which will allow them to see the bunker channels. And in those channels, everything is going to be exclusively towards prepping. So information
I just pushed a link over to America
That's
Shirts.
a very good idea. I like that.
And we can just put.
He comes off as a different name on Discord, but I just threw it at him.
So. Oh yeah. I have a secret identity on Discord.
It's just different. So Divinity wants to be a bunker member. Where is Divinity? She's gone offline, so I can't see it. And she's green. Oh, I was looking for the red. Now she's green. That's
heck
right.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Germs. I wonder if Germs has been lurking in the background.
He says,
could you link to Discord somewhere, please? He wants it on this.
So what we can do is I'll create a channel up here.
Germs is in Grim's Discord for sure. I don't know if
he's in ours too, isn't he?
Is he?
He
might be.
Pretty sure he's
until I can get a bot set up to apply roles, I'm going to put here a channel. So if you look in the lodge and that name
Germs
is
in
changing, there is a channel now up top underneath chat and such called role requests. I'm going to put it right underneath general. Any roles that you want, simply go in there and type just the name of the roles. So if you want the bunker role, put your name in there and just say bunker. And then I'll go through and everyone I see in there who puts bunker, I'll add them to bunker and then remove their name to show that they've received a bunker role. And you can contribute there as well. So I'll make everybody in bunker, I'll give the bunker role mod over the bunker roles or the bunker channels. And you can add your own prepping advice or link your own videos that you think are interesting, and we'll go from there. So
yeah, because I think that would be a very beneficial tool to keep the conversation going even outside
so what
of
I'll
the video.
do, if you guys are okay with it, I'll link the Discord in the chat if that's okay.
Yeah.
So if you're not a member of the Discord there, jump on there. Just throw bunker into the role requests channel and I'll give you that if you're interested. And I think I'll probably make America shirt a mod over there. and it sounds like he's pretty well advanced on the whole prepping thing, and we'll see if we can't get a whole bunch of people that can survive the not apocalypse, because we're not talking about an apocalypse. We're talking about a not apocalypse. So everything's gonna turn to shit and stay the same, but you're just not going to be able to afford that nice stuff. So if you go halfway and you prep for a disaster and you've got everything that you need, that precious money that you'd normally spend on buying your basics, you'll be able to buy your chocolate. You'll be able to buy your coffee because you've already got your bread.
Yep. Assets, and assets. Get out of cash.
Why is Divinity swearing at me? Oh.
This says too many weeds in my brain at the moment.
Okay, so Divinity, you already have the bunker. Tash, you don't know what this means, but I'm going to make you a bunker anyway because it sounds like you need it. So, Frog, given that we've discussed that in depth and I'm probably not relevant to the next topic, where are you wanting to go with the next segment?
Well, see, now we're 2 hours, 15 minutes in. AmericaShirts knows links that we were going to cover, the potentials. The one that I do want to cover is the potential of converting or creating 4 seats in the Supreme Court. After that, anything that AmericaShirts decides that he actually wants to actually go over, whatever, he knows where all these are. He can go in there and he can select one if he actually wants to cover a particular subject. You can hang out if you want. I really don't have a problem with you hanging out.
Now, just before I disappear, I'll hang out and listen to you. Just one last thing, because I've got people listening. I've just created a channel down in the bunker. Post anything you want there until we get it built and organized. So anything you want to post about prepping shit down under just below Frog's Pond, which you won't have yet, just post it in there and help us. You can help us decide what we want there. So we'll build the bunker together.
Sounds fun.
Anyway, I'll mute and listen to you guys and lurk. And
okay,
awesome stream, man.
Thank you. So, there was one article that was in between this one and the last one, and it was also saying that as opposed to just Republicans thinking that they're going to take over both houses, it looks as though as Democrats are also thinking and feeling the same way, that the Democrat Party is on the way out, come midterm here. Very interesting thoughts that had come out of that. It pretty much was Adam Schiff throws a stunning reason why Democrats will force Joe Biden to retire. Like I said, there will be links down in description for people to actually check out. We can. I mean, there's just so much that I throw in there or whatever, and then we don't always cover all the articles. This one in particular I did want to cover. So this is a group of House Democrats called for legislation on Monday that would add 4 seats to the Supreme Court, lamenting an ultra-right-wing branch that just overturned which isn't Roe v. Wade. It's the Dobbs decision. They need to stop. They need to actually correct themselves and actually give people the correct information.
The Dobbs decision was the one that they ruled on, right?
Right.
But the Roe v. Wade's the thing that they overturned.
Which is, well, I guess, but they just need to do away with it completely and quit messing around, because, just put it back to the state like it should be. Quit trying to think that the federal government should have all rights to everything, and, just stop it. So anyway, it says the 8 lawmakers cited recent Supreme Court decision that rolled back Miranda rights, threw out New York gun laws, allowed religion to surface in schools. Also, the Dobbs-Jackson women's health decision that overturned the abortion of Roe, in saying there's a need to add new justice to the court.
And by the way, this gun law, I forgot to even mention this the other day. The thing where they threw out the New York gun law thing, saying that there's all these prerequisites that you have to follow before you can even be given a concealed carry. They said nothing of the Second Amendment can have some sort of a prerequisite that you have to like jump 3 hurdles and like, spit on top of your head or some crazy crap. Like, you just can't sit there and just have all these weird things. If someone has passed a background or whatever, and they are, they've applied, like, hey, I want a concealed carry, or they want to purchase a gun or anything like that, it's like you can't just stop them from doing that if they've already done the measures by which other state laws are there. You just can't keep layering things on all the time and saying that no, you can't have a gun in this area of the state or with this thing or here or there. You can't stop the carrying of the concealed carry. You can't stop someone from attaining a concealed carry because you just want to keep adding more hoops they have to jump through before they can even get a gun for themselves. What New York did after this was, and I didn't even realize this, they added a new law to their books to where they said, oh, well, that's fine, but you just can't carry the gun anywhere near a government building, anywhere within, not even near. They gave like a radius. Like, you can't have it where there's money. You can't have it where there's school kids. You can't have it where there's this. And it's like, well, that's literally everywhere because people live around banks and people, take their kids to school and people go to work. And there's like a courthouse
and they
you
go
drive
grocery
by.
shopping. And
Right. It's like, so you can't carry anywhere. Well, then what the hell? Like, it's like they just literally defied the Supreme Court's ruling on their own damn case. And they just like stuck up the middle finger and they were just like, screw you. And so now it's going back to court in New York, and who the hell knows what will happen after that. So that's a little
Wish
update with that. I
granted
forgot to
apostle.
mention that.
He's like, I can't post anything. I'm not a mod. Here you go.
That was the issue. Got it.
Right. Okay, let's pop through this real quick. This is the leads. Hank Johnson, the leader of the 2021 Judiciary Act, called for the current makeup of Supreme Court at crisis that itself and with our democracy, where basic freedoms are under assault from the 63 conservative supermajority on that branch. The Supreme Court isn't susceptible to popular vote in way Congress is, Johnson said, and it has used the fact to amass power. It's making decisions that usurp the power of the legislative and executive branches. Facing Republican opposition and some Democratic skepticism, the bill has little chance of becoming a law, but it illustrates the deep anger among the progressive Democrats about the court's direction under 3 conservative justices nominated by former President Trump, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. Those 3 justices have radically altered the direction of the court, which now has twice as many conservative justices as liberal ones. Kavanaugh replaced Justice Anthony Kennedy, a previous swing vote who had been nominated to the court by a Republican, while Barrett replaced liberal Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Adding Democratic anger, a GOP Senate blocked former President Obama's last nominee to the court, Merrick Garland, who is now the Attorney General. Gorsuch ended up being nominated to the court in place of Garland.
And Garland, I was learning a little bit about Garland's background here this week even. Garland's been involved in the government for a long time. He's not some sort of pop-up figure. He's just been...
No, yeah, he's been there.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that about Garland. But yeah, he has been around the block a number of times. A very nefarious individual, Mr. Garland is.
Obviously, deep state as he is.
Oh, well, right.
Well-rooted and just knows anything and everything that he needs to know to actually be able to go wherever he wants.
Right. So whenever he makes some of these things of like, going after parents protesting at school boards and wanting to send the FBI after them, He knows exactly what he's doing. This isn't just some sort of like, send the FBI on him. Oh my God. Like, no, he knows exactly what's going on. Like, he knows exactly how tyrannical this is, and he loves every minute of it. Like, that, he knows exactly what's going on. He knows exactly what he's doing. So, anyways, there's that.
Let's see. Introduced last year, the Judiciary Act has not progressed in Congress. Some Democrats worried of the proposal are concerned that expansion would open the court up to Republicans to push more of their nominees into the openings. I mean, we can all go back to Joe Biden himself saying when FDR expanded the court to the 9 that it was a boneheaded idea and the worst thing that could ever have happened. I really don't think Biden's actually there in thinking. He's allowing Congress to actually run roughshod over everything, and it's not going to turn out well. The nightmare scenario of GOP court packing is already upon us. That's how they got this far, right? 6-3 majority in the first place, says Rep. Mondaire Jones, the Democrat from New York. Lawmakers at Monday's press conference hosted by Take Back and Court Action Fund blamed Trump for the conservative legal movement for enabling a partisan court. Republican politicians made controlling the judicial branch part of its platform, adding that the court has gone rogue and became a radical institution. The lawmakers also emphasized that the longevity of the lifelong term the sitting justices are now serving makes action to expand the court more urgent. Did you have a thought?
Too many.
Of 72-year-old conservative Justice Sam Alito, Johnson said, "You can see the gleam in his eye as he thinks about what he wants to do to decimate the rights of people and put us back in the dark ages. Trump nominated Gorsuch, Barrett, and Kavanaugh in their 50s are going to be there for a while." Yeah, yep, they are.
Yeah, why would you even quote Jackson? What the hell? Like, this person's even a sane individual. This person is a rabid hack freakazoid. Like, there is no rationale.
If you can't actually identify what a woman actually is, that's the best person to go to for your democratic thought.
Right. Yeah, I forgot. Shit. Oh, well.
Congress has changed the number of seats in the nation's highest court 7 times in the nation's history, and the new proposal would bring the total seat count to 13.
Would you like to know the simplest definition of a woman that I have been able to think of in my head? A human being that is without medical interference able to reproduce her species.
Yeah, I mean, we all need, we all came from a woman. We all need a woman to actually, reproduce.
And there is, no matter what trans or what identity you are or what surgeries exist, only a natural born woman can carry a baby to term and create a new human being. So a woman is someone who can, within her own body, carry and produce a brand new human.
Well, according to the freakazoid, googly-eyed demon woman that was in front of the Senate, you are...
Is this the one that said I'm not a biologist?
No.
Yes.
She's another demon hack freakazoid. The other woman I'm thinking of is the one that was just up there in front of the Senate testifying. She was some professor from, I think, was it like Yale or Harvard or something like that? And she's like, to Senator Hawley, she says, well, if you sit there and define a woman like that, then you are you're
transphobic.
Right, you're transphobic, and you are inciting violence against trans people.
That was horrible. She was just disturbing.
You want trans people to die.
Well, basically what she was getting at is you can't sit there and say that about trans people, because then it makes them more prone to killing themselves. And it's like, well, what the hell ever. So let's see here. The last couple sentences here. It says the new proposal would bring the total seat count to 13, meaning the decision from the court would need 7-6 majority rather than a 5-4. Let's see. Representatives Levin, Schakowsky, Coleman, Tlaib, Sheila Jackson
Sorry.
were all at the conference, along with Senator Ed Markey, who sponsored the bill in the Senate, and a handful of progressive activists. So, they're all.
I hope you mean hacktivist.
Wait, what did he say? What did you say?
Hacktivist.
Yes, I said hacktivist. Yes.
Okay, good. I like you again.
That's what I always say. They're like, "Oh, we're an activist." No, you're a hacktivist. Like that's what you.
But the way it sounds is they want to actually try pushing this through, and they're going to expand in that court. If they expand that court and go out to 13, that majority is going to change.
Hell, they'll go up to damn 25 if they think so.
And that's what it's going to do. Is the second that you actually do this now, the second that everything changes hands, they're going to do the same thing. And they're going to expand their court and say, okay, now it's not 13 anymore. Now it's whatever, 25.
You know what the Supreme Court started off originally as? You know how many people were there? 3.
3. That's all you needed. That way, 2 of them were
and they
enough.
met in the basement of the Congress. They didn't even have their own building.
But let's do some boneheaded crap, and let's go ahead and do this and watch what happens when all of a sudden they're like, okay, now we can overturn this and that and the other thing, and then all of a sudden, like I said, down the road, all of a sudden it changes hands because people are sick of the crap, and then you get, oh my God, what did they just do? They just reversed it again, and it's like, well, yeah, of course they reversed it again, because instead of codifying anything into law, they're going to keep it the way it is. That way it's always a talking point, like it has been for the last 50 years. Just freaking stupid.
And again, this is something that FDR wanted to do whenever he was president, because he wanted his New Deal to come across, which would an added on Bill of Rights, quote unquote, and all of that horse shit. And half the Democrats at the time was like, holy shit, that's crazy.
IDCrisis has a thought there. He says Republicans should go the other way when it comes around and just like remove, a couple seats or whatever. I mean, obviously right now you could do 2, but if they go and they expand it to the 13, it'd go back to, removing the 4 that were added. And I just don't think that either way, this is not a good deal. It's never going to actually be something that's going to be exciting. Did you look through all the articles that I had thrown up in Shut Up?
Where was this? And there was. I don't know if you threw up here about the Bannon trial that's going on today. I don't think you did.
I didn't because there's so many people that had covered the Bannon trial through today, and I just.
Yeah, but for those who don't know that, we'll just say, there's the court trial for Bannon. We had discussed that a little bit previous to this. I think, was it last Friday? We kind of brought it up a little bit, and about how Bannon being brought into court over not providing Congress with what was supposed to be privileged conversations with the president, hence executive privilege, and because he didn't give it to them in the timely manner in which they wanted, and he didn't testify, that they're holding him in contempt of Congress, and they're going to try to prosecute him with that, which no one has been prosecuted for contempt of Congress since the days of Watergate. So that was several decades ago. So it's like, what's the precedent for all this now? The judge was like, oh, they don't have right to executive privilege. So that whole thing that we were talking about before, that's now taking place today. They're doing jury selections for that. And then, of course, the court case will progress on after that. So it's a little, in case people haven't watched it. You can watch. There's tons of videos. Viva Fry's covering it with the Post Millennial. Jack Posobiec is doing stuff, so that you can watch a ton of different, like Koolfrogg was saying, a ton of different people going over it. Joe Neerman was there.
Yeah. Joe Neerman, Good Logic was on top of it. Looked like there's a couple of people that Viva Fry did something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Viva Fry did something for the Post Millennial, and
it looked like there was a couple of other people that were most likely going to cover that particular instance. I know everybody that's in the YouTube land kind of maybe have caught something on it. If they hadn't, we can actually try doing, like an end of the week recap on it or something, and kind of go into in depth on what we know and what we've heard. The way it sounded is like they're just doing jury selections right now.
Yeah.
They made.
Can I insert a joke for brevity?
Yeah.
Definition of a woman: a human being or person with whom a man has no chance of winning an argument.
I'm sure Divinity's got something to say about that.
Oh, I'm already sure it's coming, and it's only going to reinforce my point.
Oh, hey, there's the thing with the 44 billion of C-19 money sent to states.
Sure. So we'll skim through this real quick. So then there's Elizabeth.
Urgent. I'm not sure whether Divinity's saying I've got a prick like a finger, or if she's just calling me a prick.
Now we're talking, she says. So I'm just I'll skim over till we hit that one. So then here's Elizabeth Warren is blaming everything and everyone except Biden policies are for the skyrocketing inflation. Obviously we all know better. Miss Pocahontas herself can go F off.
I'm an Indian too. Achoo, achoo, achoo. Or whatever the hell else she said.
They took a whole episode from me on that crap. We won't play that song ever again. Gavin Newsom plants a flag on climate spring 2024 chatter. Well, let's hope not. We don't want Gavin Newsom to be near
there's
anything.
Been lots of different chatter. I don't think he's gonna. I mean, he can't even secure his seat in California without finagling.
So there's the $44 billion bombshell and Koof monies being sent to states to push CRT. Go figure. Let's go ahead and it's a fairly short article. Was there a? Yeah, we can listen to Fox. Just to be clear, we're not talking about the Koof or anything to do with that. Anybody that's out there that's listening should do what's best for them. And we're not doctors. We're not going to tell you what to do or how to do it. Please see your doctor and do what's best for you. Dwight's saying no volume.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, there is.
There's none.
There's none?
Yeah.
Oh, I know why. It's the way I shared it. It was the way I shared the window so that way I could skim from one to the other. It's going to show weird. My big, huge 27-inch monitor.
A Fox News
news alert now, and it is a whopper. A number of blue states have been using your taxpayer dollars, COVID-19 relief funds, to push critical race theory in the classroom.
No
Democrats
surprises.
passing the American Rescue Plan in 2021, which provided over $122 billion for elementary and secondary schools, over $46 billion allocated to 13 states to include programs on implicit bias, ethnic studies, LGBTQ competency, and anti-racism training. Of course, Democrat leaders describe passing the American Rescue Plan as a matter of life and death. With that, let us bring in Nicole Neary, Parents Defending Education founder. Nicole, this report just published hours ago. What is your reaction?
It is plain volume,
appalling,
right?
and it is also
Yeah.
unsurprising. I mean, let's look at the words that the department used in February 2021 when they passed this initiative, or when they were trying to pass it. It was, many of us thought that it was going to be used for masks, for air purifiers, to keep our schools open. We were told by people like Senator Raphael Warnock that this was a matter of life and death. But then the department at the same time was saying things like, we want to address social, emotional, and mental well-being. We want to address things like inequities. And so it's those kind of phrases where you sort of understand what the department was going for. And so I'm not surprised that blue states have been using these programs to push their social justice agenda.
Let's take a look at some of the numbers, drill down. California awarding $15.1 billion. And look what they used it for. A lot of woke stuff. New York, $9 billion. Illinois, $5.1 billion. Nicole, if I'm a restaurant owner.
He's like a lot of woke stuff. So it says use funds to increase educator training and resources in subjects such as anti-bias strategies, environmental literacy, ethnic studies, and LGBTQ plus cultural competency.
Koolfrogg, we're echoing.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
In one of these states who was told by the Democratic establishment, I needed to shut down. I had to shut down. I had no choice. Otherwise, I'd go to jail. And I lost my livelihood because of this. Yet billions upon billions of dollars are being put into these schools to turn my kids into an activist. What's my reaction this morning?
It's appalling. It's sickening, right? I mean, we have inflation going through the roof because the federal government was printing money to their agenda. Terms like social and emotional learning sound great. Of course, we want our children to be emotionally aware. But we look at actually what these programs are in practice. These are Trojan horses for critical race theory. We have people like Gloria Ladson-Billing pushing transformative SEL, talking about culturally responsive programs. And so, yeah, things like implicit bias, of course they're going to trip in, because that's exactly what this Department of Education wants to do. And that's what a lot of these education bureaucrats at the state and local level want to do as well.
Meantime, Nicole, your organization and 26 other parents' rights groups sending a letter to Education Secretary Miguel Cardona urging him not to rewrite the Trump-era Title IX policy. Explain to us what this fight is really all about.
Sure. So in 2020, Betsy DeVos and the Trump administration put in place terrific safeguards that protected students and other administrators' due process rights, strengthened free speech protections that have been trampled by the Obama administration through Dear Colleague letters. And unfortunately, what we see now and what we're anticipating coming out any day is Title IX, which prevents discrimination in education institutions on the basis of sex, to be rewritten. They're going to read gender identity into this, which means that schools and individuals now have to push forward this social justice agenda. And if this is something that the Department of Education wants to do, then they have to have Congress rewrite the statute. This is not something that an administration can do with a pen and a phone, as we know that many of our opponents in this fight want to do.
How disastrous would this be, quite frankly, for little girls if this goes through?
Right. It's horrifying. What is going to happen is we are going to see safety issues come.
I would say.
Okay. You got thoughts? You want to?
Well, try to get this thing to stop echoing. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, this is what the public education system has been turned into. Well, this is the purpose of it now in the modern day. Ever since some lovely globalist hackies got in and tried to federalize it all, this is what happens when education is centralized like this, and this is what happens. This has been the plan all along. It's to turn your kids into activists for the state. That's what this whole thing has been about. The whole push for like government funding this and government funding that in schools and centralizing this in schools, and oh, we need the Department of Education this and that and so forth. That was never supposed to be. You and your own local community determine what your kids will learn, not the government, not some sort of standardized government test of some kind or anything like that. That's your kids for your local area and within your own state. That's the way this is supposed to be. But you can look up all this stuff. The UN has documents on this. Other people talk about this that are globalist hackies. They want to indoctrinate your children. This has always been the goal of this centralization of education, is to indoctrinate the children into whatever the hell they want. And at this point in time, it's CRT, critical race theory, to divide and conquer. And then, of course, the gender identity bullshit, which is for depopulation. And this is exactly what they want. And they want to breed this in the minds of children so that they grow up. And if anything doesn't happen in this generation, the next one will burn the whole place down. Like, that's the goal.
Word. Look at that. Fauci to retire before the end of Biden's term.
Run, bitch. Run.
Let's hope that's what actually happens. He actually just gives
Run
up,
for the
retires,
hills.
goes and does something other with his life than trying to ruin everybody else's.
Because we may or may not arrest you. Of course, like I said, I love Fauci. I have a shrine to Fauci in my house, but I may or may not have other reservations. But then again, I don't, because you can't, because this is the new America now. This is the fascist state we live in.
Dwight
Fauci
Zombie,
is
wrong.
our new saint.
Social studies does not equal CRT.
Oh, and even social studies itself, like the whole idea of social studies, that whole thing is like a UN program thing. Like that's a whole, like, oh my God, like we need social studies. Like, it's like, well, what about what the hell happened to history? Oh no, we need social studies because that will teach the kids to be, social this or social that for the modern day, for looking forward, for progressing and whatever. And that's a whole thing to take away the idea of history and to live in the ever present. And like I said, they have documents about all this. Like I just watched a whole video of these people in front of state legislatures from the 90s, literally reading off UN documents to state legislatures, going like, they literally want to indoctrinate your kids. Like,
well,
you need to stop this.
If that's what they replaced social studies with is CRT, they can go F off.
CRT is just the new version of social studies. If you really understand the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, it's the new social studies, because that's what social studies is designed to do. And that door has been opened. And so this is just that natural progression of where they want to take this. If you actually go back and look at some of the origins of this, like I was saying, that's what this was intended to do in the first place.
CRT sucks.
History, people. And like everybody in the chat was talking about, arithmetic, math, science, English, literature.
Pelosi to answer to J6 Capitol Police response. Yes, do so and bring her up on charges for her response to not actually sending
or lack thereof.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to have an issue with these public schools if my son actually goes into a public school. I'm going to totally rip into them every single chance I get. They're not going to be happy with me. They're going to be like, oh, he's back. Let's see here. Watchdog said Secret Service deleted J6 text message. We kind of covered some of this, that they had actually deleted some stuff on another episode. I don't know why I actually brought this one back in here again. Other than the fact that they're actually very upset for the fact that, and they're looking forward to actually still receiving these, though they had already been deleted. I really don't know what they're actually thinking of that, how that's going to actually work. Robin asked me if I was going to actually do some homeschooling, and yes, it really seriously was a big thought of actually doing so. Especially when in the state of Minnesota. Now that I'm in South Dakota, I was thinking maybe I might be okay for some of it, but I'm still not so absolutely positive. And there will be a lot of second that kid comes home and says, "Hey, teacher said this, teacher said that," it's going to be like, "Well, that's not true. That's not true. This is what it is, and this is how it works." And I have history books, so if worst comes to worst, you're still gonna know what the heck history is. And I've talked to a couple of people because we are trying to do some, because he's almost to the age of being able to go to like a pre K type thing. That the lady that I was talking to was actually telling me that they don't like it around here, and they're actually trying to divert away from actually teaching things like the CRT, which is awesome if that's the case. I am in a very, very red state, and there, I don't see it all being pushed the way it is, like it is in California, New York, Illinois, Minnesota, all those very strong blue states that are out there. So it is a thought. It is something that might actually happen. This is a little disturbing. Since Stephen Colbert's team has charges dropped after filming insult dog segment at the Capitol without escorts. They were all brought up on potential charges, and they all dropped all their charges because they're like, "Oh, well, they're on our side, so we're okay with them being
I
there."
mean, yeah, exactly. They just waltz their asses in, uninvited, unannounced. They just waltz in with Adam Schiff's people because, hey, we're with Adam Schiff. Who cares? Even though they wanted to try to oust Lauren Boebert from the Congress because she brought her family in to show them around the Capitol building and show them her office. They were like, "Oh, she was inciting it. She's bringing people in. She's doing this. She's doing that." And yet Adam Schiff's people do the exact thing that they accuse them of doing, which is bring in a bunch of people that are unaffiliated with them, that aren't even family members or anything, which is what they accused Lauren Boebert of doing. But it was her family the whole time. This is what they're doing. And of course, they don't get charged with anything because, again, we all know that this is bullshit. Like, this is just trespassing. This is just, coming in unannounced. This is just coming. Like we all know this shit. They know this shit. So they're not going to charge them, but they will put you in prison for life if you were there on J6. There's a woman who has cancer who is she's an elderly woman. She's a grandmother. She has cancer, and she was sentenced to 2 months in federal prison for
that 60
for just
plus year old
walking
woman
through the red velvet ropes on January 6th. She didn't do anything else. She didn't even go anywhere else in the building. She just walked into the door that was opened up and walked through the velvet ropes and just was walking there. And she is in prison now, federal prison.
We don't know
months.
that though. We're just guessing.
Guessing what?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, let me guess. The DUI charge here?
Yeah, so alarming news on Paul Pelosi. 1 month after his DUI charge. It's like after stopping at an intersection of Walnut Drive and Highway 29 and proceeded across the Highway 29 to Oakville, his car hit the back fender of a Jeep heading southbound on Highway 29. There's also an incorrect reports that misstate the timing of the event. Oh, really? It just so happens to be that comes up? Mm-hmm. The speaker will not be commenting on the private matter which occurred while she was on the East Coast. So she wasn't there. It was just him. Mr. Pelosi received the same treatment under the policy that all individuals released from the county jail receive. No state law specifically requires the release of booking photos or mugshots, but policies regarding this topic can vary by jurisdiction. The Congresswoman reported 3 new stock and stock option trades made by her husband last month. Oh, what? Really? Which ones? Look at him. Here it is. Look at that. Apple. $100,000, $250,000 that he supposedly just kind of throws at it. Oh, Nvidia. Huh. Look at that. $1 million to $5 million. Visa, another $1 million to $5 million. He's just buying up stock because he knows what's coming next. How does he know what's coming next? Oh, well, we can just assume that it's because of Nancy Pelosi. Very disturbing that, when you have inside deals where you're able to actually see what's coming and you're able to just throw money at it and just be like, I'm okay. I'm fine. And I'm sick of, he gets away with drunk driving because, he's Paul Pelosi. And then he goes and turns around and just throws money like it's nothing. They could have actually given him any charge whatsoever and taken the money and put it towards anything they wanted to, probably a new jail or something, or, and said, hey, why don't you just give us some money and we'll let you go. Maybe that's what he did. What? Dwight says, wait, everything's backwards. Nvidia, they can't be the same name. I'm confused on what he's actually trying to say there, but that's okay. Let's see what's this. Kamala Harris again compares the end of Roe v. Wade to slavery and tells the NAACP conference she instructed her team to produce Venn diagrams on states restricting abortion and the right to vote. This one actually has, we're going to share this different. Sorry, Divinity. It's only 2 minutes.
We must also take steps to protect other fundamental freedoms, including the freedom for a woman to make decisions about her own body. And on this subject, it's important to note
I agree, Divinity. Her voice
to support
sucks.
a woman's ability, not her government, but her, to make that decision does not require anyone to abandon their faith or their beliefs. It just requires us to agree the government shouldn't be making that decision for her. And think about it. For the first time in generations, the United States Supreme Court, the highest court of our land, the former court of Thurgood Marshall, took a constitutional right that had been recognized
Not a
from
constitutional
the people
right.
of America, from the women of America. We know, NAACP, that our country has a history of claiming ownership over human bodies.
Oh, wow. She gives me a headache every time I listen to her.
Extremist so-called leaders are criminalizing doctors and punishing women for making healthcare decisions for themselves. Personal decisions that is her right to make in consultation with her doctor, her pastor, her priest, her rabbi, her loved ones.
What the
Not
hell?
her government telling her what to do.
You want to pick that apart?
Her pastor, her priest.
Oh my God. I mean, she might as well just like pick up like an icon of Christ or something, or like pick up a Bible and just spit on it and then light it on fire. Like it's I mean, literally, like she's just like, if she wants to have an abortion, that's okay. She can just talk to her priest about it, and that just make everything better. Just talk to her pastor. It'll be good. Holy freak!
I asked
So
my
blatant.
team to you remember Venn diagrams, those 3 circles, right? And then let's just see where they overlap. So I asked my team, I said, do a Venn diagram on 2 circles for me. And in particular, the overlap of states that are attacking the freedom to vote and attacking women's freedoms over their own bodies. There are 10 states that are doing both.
Where's the third circle?
We've been looking at.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Kamala Harris claims to be a devout Baptist Christian. She was sworn into the Senate on her Bible, and yet she's standing there acting as a proponent for abortion. So is she lying about being pro-abortion, or is she lying about having a devout Baptist faith? Because either way, this woman is either sacrificing her faith to say the politically correct thing, or she's lying to the woman that she's speaking to about being pro-choice.
I think
does
it's
not
both.
Seem like a woman I trust.
No, she's lying about her faith. Of course she doesn't have any faith in God or anything. I mean, my God, anybody that does the shit that she's done and says the stuff that she says and supports the things she supports.
I mean, and you can
and
also
just
look
sits
at
there and
Joe
just
Biden
blatantly
the
does
same
it and then
thing.
laughs in your face about it. It's like, I mean,
right. And you can look at Joe Biden, that same instance of what you had just pointed out, is he actually claims to be a devout Catholic. Well, as Catholics, you don't believe in abortion, period.
It's a cardinal sin to abort a child in Catholicism. It's murder.
Right. Exactly. And that's the hardest thing to actually think about it when you actually use to say. I've posted several times before I shut down a Facebook account that simple fact, and there's so many of them. Is it that black and white? Yes, it is. It is that black and white. Straight up, if you are a Catholic, you do not believe in abortion, period. But they have the tendency to sit there and try pushing their political stance to actually show this, and it's just wrong. And she screwed up her Venn diagram. She had 2 circles that overlapped each other at no point. AmericaShirts? No thoughts?
Oh, oh no, I've got thoughts. I'm just not going to voice them because I'd be called a misogynistic racist. She's just not a good human.
No, she's not.
Oh no, of course not. I mean,
But she is the perfect running mate from Joe Biden, because if Joe Biden ever goes out and stops being president and Kamala Harris takes over, we'll have a natural 3rd installment or 4th installment to the Dumb and Dumber series.
Oh God.
She's a shit show.
Oh yeah. I mean, she has no clue what the hell's going on. She's just there for the sake of being there, for the sake of having the position of ooh, look at me, I have power. That's literally it for her. She's a complete dumbass. Her entire staff has quit. Her second staff that's there is already starting to quit. I think it's this is her second round of a full staff of people. No one wants to be around this bitch.
At risk of pissing off a whole lot of people, Trump's biggest problem is he never knew when to shut up, but at least he knew how to speak.
Yeah, I mean, he actually speak in complete sentences for the most.
But they're the perfect pair. Biden reads everything on a teleprompter. Kamala Harris, she struggles to
even read the
anything on
teleprompter.
teleprompter. Yeah.
Yeah. We just went over it the other day, whatever, she just fired her lead speechwriter.
Before we get too far
Or
away,
the lead speechwriter quit.
I'd hazard a guess. Kamala Harris is the only politician they could have put next to Biden and actually made him look smarter.
Yeah, absolutely. Kill shot. Bing, bing, bing.
Yeah. Before we get too far removed, I was looking for this video and I found it from
Who's this
the
by?
DUI. This is supposedly Paul Pelosi, right?
Yeah.
And so
who put this up?
Oh, this is the United Spot, of course.
Oh, okay.
This is from a while ago.
Okay,
but,
good.
Speaking
I like
of
the
DUI,
United Spot. I've reached out to the United Spot
help.
a couple times.
Pelosi!
I'm hoping I can get a hold of
You
them.
got a visitor. Oh, Paul, are you okay? I don't know, Nancy. Prison changes a man, but you've only been here for 20 minutes. I don't even know what it's like on the outside anymore. I'm gonna bail you out, Paul. It's gonna be okay. I'm afraid. Prison is all I know. I think I'm institutionalized. You don't know what it's like in here. I'm gonna get you help. I think you might have a drinking problem. I don't have a drinking problem. Really? Then what about your brother, Paul? I was only 16. It doesn't matter. You're an alcoholic. No, you're an alcoholic. How dare you? I'm not drunk. Yes, you are. You take that back. Why do you think I drink? I drink because you drink. You're right, Paul. I do have a problem. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm drunk right now. I'm always drunk. I'm still kind of buzzed, too. I can change, Paul. For you. It's too late. This is my new home. I'm gonna bail you out, Paul. My name's Paula now. Come on, Paul. Will a surgical visit change your mind? Yeah. I'm not that drunk.
So, Apostle, you're a little bit more fluent with the Bible than
Loud?
I am. Can you?
Oh, okay. We got a different path.
Can you answer Dwight Zombie on the cardinal sin?
Cardinal sins are unforgivable sins. So, suicide.
He's asking for a source. That's what I'm saying.
It's you just got to go and read the scriptures. Like there's certain sins that are unforgivable. Suicide's one of them. I'm not hugely versed on all things Catholic, but if you just go and Google unforgivable sins within Catholicism, that will give you a pretty good starting point. Like you're not even allowed to use contraception.
Right.
In
Divinity actually hit on that one. She says birth control is murder too, and nobody goes as hard on the pill, or do they? And technically, you're supposed to, if you know, for being a
like
Catholic.
if you're talking Protestantism, fuck, I hate that word. If you're talking modern viewed Protestantism, the only unforgivable sin, and even if you go back to pure scripture, the only unforgivable sin is blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. And there's an entire theological, philosophical debate around what that is. So, and it's almost even it's a subject I semi-avoid because even almost thinking about or discussing what blasphemy of the Holy Spirit is, to me, is really flirting around the edges. So
Dwight says, "Oh, now I get it." So, thank you.
Oh no, I don't want to debate. I have no desire to even discuss what blasphemy of the Holy Spirit is. It's just, yeah, I never even enter into my head anything negative to do with. Well, we can talk about it privately, but I don't ever wish to discuss it publicly until you and I have some sort of consensus, because I believe it's the sort of thing where you and I can have a discussion, find a middle ground, and then put forward a unified argument as to what it could potentially be.
Sure.
So that way that it's informative. Yeah.
Thank you. So, I mean, there really wasn't much more. I think this is pretty much the last of the government. So it says Democrats plan to create a 28th Amendment to end gun ownership for good.
Yep, that's going to happen. Wait, when did the aliens say they were arriving? Oh, hang on. I've just got to go have a conversation with Moses. He's come back for coffee. Hang on. No, these are just all things that are going to happen before that does.
Which is sad, scary, and I just don't. I if this happens, the 28th Amendment, there's going to be an awful lot of people that are going to be very disturbed on the whole issue. I don't really want to read the article.
Well, I'm just curious. If they implement the 28th Amendment, who's going to go and confiscate the gun off all the fucked off rednecks? The cops that don't even have the nuts to go into a school with one shooter?
I mean, right. I mean, it's like, what do they think is going
with
to happen?
hand sanitizer?
They know what's going to happen. They know it's going to incite a civil war, and that's exactly what these people want, because they want this total chaos. And then they'll be like, "Oh, see, they're terrorists, they're weirdos, they're wackadoos." Send the full force of the military against them, and then put them all into camps and whatever the hell else. Like that is their wet dream. Pardon my French, of what they would love to see happen. Is just throw all of their dissidents in prison so that way they can just have their way with whatever the hell they want in the country. I mean, these people are total tyrants. The shit they come up with behind the scenes. And then
I think this is what disturbs me more is this guy right here. This is Michael Moore. Michael Moore is the one that actually wrote this.
Oh, that fat ass.
Yes, that guy. That guy's going to go and he's going to write this, and they're going to go off of what he had to say.
Flabby
and they're going to go and pass this 8-section amendment that is so freaking dumb. Michael Moore is not the right person to be writing amendments.
Oh my God.
Dwight says he's a douche, but still a cool dude. I guess.
The hell with Michael Moore.
That's what I say. Fuck Michael Moore. I mean, we can read the sections out if you want. I don't know how you feel in America Shirts. We're after 3 hours.
Can I quickly summarize? I see Section 3, no guns. Section 4, no guns. Section 5, no guns.
No guns.
Section 6, no guns.
Absolutely
Section
no
7,
guns and no armor, no sight, no locks.
No water pistols. No water pistols, because water pistols are a gateway gun to guns. Section 8.
Take away your forefinger in your thumb because you can't even have handguns.
Yep. They're going to make it illegal to remove sticks from trees and call them guns. Oh, wait. Doesn't Section 7 outline childhood? And apparently sex is outlawed too, because sex is banging and banging is shooting and shooting is guns. So banging's outlawed now too. Not allowed to bang anything.
Hey,
so I think the final section in this is figure out a way to facilitate reproductive, just new babies without banging. Seriously, I wouldn't even give this article the time of day. I would not even give this your time to read it, because
that's why I'm just sitting here, whatever, and I'm gonna leave it up that way. If somebody actually really seriously wants to read it, and they're watching
link it
this,
so that if anyone wants to waste their life, go and read it. But this is beneath you guys.
Exactly.
It really fucking is.
All these articles that we went through will be linked down below. So that way you have to scroll through a whole bunch of stuff before you can actually get to everybody that's actually linked down below. You can actually find the bearded apostle down there.
And it's interesting because I've been watching Bloody Blah talking about it. They said, they've unsubbed, how to go from 9 viewers to 6, and how to ignore your chat. And it's interesting because I haven't ignored a single thing, but I don't respond to demands. Is that we do have sections in time where we turn around and we go to the chat and we interact with the chat, we talk to the chat, we think about chat. and we read the things and we incorporate it in. But this isn't that form of show. It's a news show. It's yeah. Don't demand
Sorry, Bloody
a
Blah. I
streamer's
really
attention.
didn't mean to make you go away. I mean, having
but it's
issues with
rude.
Restream
Don't
because
apologize.
Restream's not allowing me to actually, see
Dude, don't
the YouTube
apologize
side.
because you
No,
show your
the
viewers
thing is,
so
we
much
normally do.
respect.
We
I
normally
know,
do, but
and you are
Restream's
so
being a
respectful of your
dick.
viewers.
I
It's
can't
rude
do
to
anything
say
with
they've
Restream.
unsubbed. No, I think it's rude to say I've unsubbed because you're not talking to me enough. I like Bloody Blah, but I think it's not the right way to go about
See,
it. That's
right
not
there,
constructive
Divinity.
criticism.
Koolfrogg usually reads all the chats.
I know.
Like I said, it's not linked. So because it's not linking properly, I'm unable to actually hold the conversation. If you're going to unsub because I'm not talking to you right now, it's not my fault. There's nothing I can do.
No.
Do what you need to do.
Yeah, and it's like it's just if you think that they're ignoring you or whatever, just be constructive about it. Like we're normally telling Koolfrogg, dude, you're reading every single text. You're reading your entire stream is reading your chat. So it's just like, and it's a bit of a bee in my bonnet because I see people criticizing Frog.
No, and I know who's in there in the chat that actually understands that I actually read everything, and they're all still with me, and they would not even care if I didn't even read theirs. But I like to actually do that so that they do feel included. So again, one of us.
Let's put it this way: how far back is the pisses me off, poses me comment in the chat? I can't even see it.
I don't know.
Like the last thing I can see in Restream is, and they're even disappearing. Like they are literally deleting themselves. Was Robyn complaining about autocorrect?
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple from the last thing I got everything from the Twitch side. All the Dwight stuff is in there. The last thing I see is from Divinity that says for Catholics. So it actually did pop for a few minutes where it actually started to show me some stuff. And it showed me 4 messages from the YouTube side before it failed again.
Yeah,
so,
I was going to tell you, you need to find something else. This Restream thing is rubbish.
And that's
I'll give you
exactly
a secret. Do you want a secret? Do you want to know the only way you're going to be able to do it for the interim time? Is you're going to have live stream open, and then you're going to have to open a YouTube video and the tab next to it, and basically have it open on mute. So in one tab you've got your Restream, in the next tab you've got your live stream open on mute, and you can flick backwards and forwards between the two. Or when you're not doing anything in Restream, just
do
watch
what you need to do. If you come join me one more time and see how it goes, because Restream's going to get trashed here as soon as this next phase is up. I believe I just paid for the next month, whatever, either last week or the week before. So there's maybe 2-3 weeks left of this Restream because I'm paying for it. I'm not going to not use it.
No, you're going to use it up. And bloody blah, I would say, like I said, I like you. You were very, very witty in a lot of what you said.
I even made it a mod that because I didn't want the particular person, because they were throwing some very interesting comments in there, and I wanted them to actually feel that their stuff wasn't being withheld for what they were saying. So I made them a mod.
And I didn't say anything until the unsubbed bit. Like I said nothing until the unsubbed bit because it's not my stream, but it's not fair.
There's bloody
to throw
blah
around
right
that
there.
whole unsubbed thing.
Seriously, I don't want to, just, give us another chance. Let us, work through our issues with this piece of crap Restream, and we'll totally read your stuff. It's not going to be something where you won't ever be seen, because you will. No, and it's fine. You don't have. You weren't mad. You don't have to apologize for it. It's just something that's just not working
on
at the moment.
your knees to me. No, I'm just kidding.
Fucking troll. I'm gonna go. I'll be back, and I'll just put me backstage if that's such a thing. I'm gonna go pick up dinner and shit, and
Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna actually just shutter. We're gonna be good for the night.
Okay, well, I shall stay till the end.
Okay, yeah,
It's been awesome just lurking here listening to you guys. Seriously,
again, everybody, make sure you sub to the Bearded Apostle.
Oh,
He
no,
is down in the description.
No. The stream's about you, dude. If
No,
they
well,
want to go and find me, they'll find me. You
right,
promote you.
Go find him. Hit him up. America Shirts, AmericaShirtsFirst.com, the most base shirts on the planet. Link that webpage. Eventually, he'll get it fixed. I don't know when. And make sure you check out his Rumble page.
Yeah, I uploaded a new video over there to Rumble the other day. It's an excerpt from this show where I read off the Hunter Biden text messages, all that is appropriate for YouTube, of course, because it's full of a bunch of...
Did you learn how to speak that language? Bidenese.
Bidenese. Somewhat. Kind of learn how to speak pedo a little bit, like the pedo language.
Oh, wow.
Yuck. Maps
You're like,
belong
oh,
on a
God.
wall.
Kind of like read between the lines with some of that stuff. I was like, oh boy, that's what they mean.
And of course,
anyways, we don't go into all of that. But,
now that America's Shirts has basically made his future career impossible, he's going to be auctioning off a collection of his shirts. You'll be able to find them on eBay, Craigslist, and in your local garage sales. Please pay kindly, as he's really going to need the money now.
And of course, you can find me right here. Look up Koolfrogg. You can do whatever you'd like there. You can go to buymeacoffee.com and you can support me immediately. If you do, because I have a tendency not to check it all the time because there's nobody in there, let me know that you actually did, and we'll actually read your comments on stream. There's a couple links that are there. There's a Rumble channel and there's a Locals channel. If something ever happens to this channel and it goes away, that is where we will be.
Yes.
That being said, everybody say goodbye.
Joe Biden, get based Republicans in the House and in the Senate, vote for them in the primaries if there's any more primaries, and make sure that you get them across the finish line, ladies and gentlemen. We have to bake the potato. Operation Baked Potato is a go. Commence. We got to do it, folks. Get out and get moving with this. Get good, solid, conservative, populist Republicans into office and every level, but particularly as well the House and the Senate, the Congress, and we got to impeach his ass and impeach the rest of them that come along with him, if there's any more. So that's what we got to do. Just saying. Throw that. I didn't say it earlier.
I love peaches. Peaches are nice. The fruit. Man, you guys are filthy. You're the most well-mannered perverts I've ever met in my life.
I didn't say anything.
Exactly, Jules.
You didn't say anything.
Shirts will take you to
Exactly.
school. All right. Love y'all.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Peace. Later.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.